Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of the second International Congress on World Civilization and Historic Roots. This Congress is jointly organized by the Ministry of Tourism of Republic of Bulgaria and the United Nations World Tourist Organization. We had a very interesting day yesterday. We had some great session, very interesting, very entertaining as well. I hope today will be even better. So without further ado, I'm going to present you our first speaker today. I would like to introduce Mr. Jens Trenard, Executive Director of Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office, who is going to give us more details on successful promotion and branding a historic route. Educated at Cornell University with a Master's of Management in Hospitality, Mr. Trenhart was recognized as one of the travel industry top 100 rising stars by Travel Agent magazine in 2003. He was listed as one of the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International's 25 most extraordinary sales and marketing minds in hospitality and travel in 2004 and 2005, and named as one of the top 20 extraordinary minds in European travel and hospitality in 2014. A member of the UNWTO Global Panel of Experts and PATA board member, he also served as past executive global board member of Hospitality Sales Marketing Association International and was the past chair of PATA China. A dual citizen of Germany and Canada, he now lives in Bangkok, Thailand. Mr. Trenhart, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you for these kind words. I should pay you afterwards for all the nice things you said about me. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Ministry of Tourism Bulgaria for inviting me and hosting this important event, and also would like to thank the UNWTO for extending the invitations to have me come to Bulgaria. It's my first time in Sofia, and so far it's a lovely place. Sometimes when you live in Bangkok, you forget that it's not all hot, the same temperature in other places. So I mean, I actually didn't really bring a coat and a sweater, so I'm looking forward to the tour, but I might be freezing a little bit. But anyhow, I look forward, and thank you for all the hospitality you have me here. So I'm based in Bangkok. I wear two hats. I'm the Executive Director of the Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office, and I'm also the CEO of Chameleon Strategy, which is a UNWTO affiliate member. I used to be with the Canadian Tourism Board, head of global marketing strategy. So I've been working on the tourism side on the public sector for a while, and then before I was also head of e-commerce for Fairmont Hotels, Fairmont Raffles, Swiss Hotel, based out of Canada. So a little bit for those of you who don't know much about the Mekong Tourism Collaboration, it is a collaboration framework between the 6 member countries of the Mekong tourism region, the Greater Mekong sub-region. Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, and China. And with China, it's Yunnan and Guangxi. So as you can see in the map, it's actually the fastest growing tourism region in the world. We had around 60 million international arrivals in 2017, with Thailand taking the main share. But what we've seen in terms of trends is that, number one, all the countries are increasing as it relates to numbers. But number two is that we have a lot of growth when it comes to domestic travel and interregional travel. So the ASEAN countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and so they're growing and they're traveling within the region. That also changes how we develop products, where before the main marketing goal was always more overseas, you know, North America, Europe, Australia. And while that is still happening, we're seeing a big shift into more regional travel, obviously led by China and India, but also a lot, as I said, with ASEAN countries. Now, even though we're growing, we do obviously have a challenge because we want to develop a brand. When I was appointed to this role by the government, first one was, you know, how can we build a tourism brand for the Mekong region? And also, how can we collaborate with the public and the private sector and develop capacity when it comes to tourism experiences and facilities on the ground, cross-border facilitations, visa, and things like that. So obviously, that's a big challenge, especially as we don't have that many resources. But then we looked back and said, actually, we do have a lot of resources, because if everybody just contributes a little bit, we have a lot. And that became our main strategy for the Mekong region. So really see like how can we build an engagement platform to have everyone or give everyone the ability to contribute, from the government to the private sector to even the residents and the travelers. How can everyone be part of our movement? Now, obviously, we're living in a world of digital transformation. Digital transformation is also the theme of the UNWTO for this year, and we're always being asked, you know, what do we do when it comes to digital transformation? And from my standpoint, it's actually very simple. It's not so much about blockchain and big data and so on, but how can we leverage digital and data to empower our employees, engage our customers, optimize operations, and transform the products. In short, how can we get more efficient and leverage technology to engage all the stakeholders? Now, I want to step back for a second because I talked about branding, and then also I think branding is in the theme of the title of my presentation. And when we look at branding, normally we think of a brand as of a logo and a tagline, you know. And there's still a lot of marketing companies that make a lot of money by creating just that, a logo and a tagline. But I think in the world of the internet, it's not about a tagline and a logo anymore. It is about reputation. You know, if you have worked a little bit in the Chinese market, you know how fast actually reputation can change. I started a company called Dragon Trail in China in 2008, which is probably the main company helping travel and tourism brands to market to Chinese consumers via digital. And we've seen very quickly, you know, how if there's just some political change, or if there is some danger, outbreak, whatever it might be, suddenly Chinese tourists may stop into a country, you know. So reputation can change also on social media, and suddenly your brand, you know, what you thought had a very strong threshold, drops down. You know, so I think if we change the word brand to reputation, you know, we actually get a lot more conscious on how to develop a brand and how it actually is working. Ads don't work the way they used to because we get a lot of messages every day, and most of them we actually ignore. So a lot of people actually, a lot of brands spend a lot of money on advertising, actually 3 times more, you know, as last year, but we see a return on investment of 5% less. You know, so what does it tell us? It tells us that maybe a lot of the brands are not spending their money and their resource in the most optimal way. What we do know is, though, that user-generated content strengthens consumer trust, and it drives sales. Actually, people are 6 times more likely to buy a product, you know, if it is driven by user-generated content or reviews. We all know TripAdvisor, and there are always a lot of other ways to drive consumer strengths. But, you know, user-generated content in many ways is not integrated into the marketing mix as it could be. Now, the other thing that we always hear a lot about is storytelling. And storytelling becomes even more powerful if it's not driven by the brand itself, but if the consumer and the traveler is put into the picture of the story. And I think we have a presentation coming up that brings that really to life and makes it very tangible. So storytelling is very powerful, and it's powerful because it's a marketing tool for brands to get in touch with their audience, to resonate. When I was head of global marketing strategy for Canada, we had a lot of pictures around vast sceneries. And Canada, as you know, is a beautiful country. You see, you know, mountains, Rocky Mountains, you see the sea, you see, and a big market was the German market. The German market likes these kind of sceneries. But the US market, they are a little bit scared of the vast wilderness. So well, we changed the brand, and actually whenever we had a picture, we had people in the picture. And our mission was that you could exchange that person in the picture with yourself. Meaning that you could say, well, you know what, I could see myself having the same story. And that's when it becomes powerful, because people then resonate with that content piece. If it's a video, if it's a picture, you know, and so on. Now, storytelling is done a lot on social media. Obviously, it's nothing new. We've seen all the picture of people sitting in caves and telling their stories. But right now, when I go back to home and tell my friends and my wife about Bulgaria, it's a one-on-one conversation. And my friends may say, wow, this is great. I mean, I just came from Iran, from the UNWTO conference there. It was my first time in Iran. It's a fabulous country. And maybe when I tell my friends, some other friends may say, wow, I want to go to Iran too. But on social media, I can reach thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, you know, and suddenly it becomes very powerful. If it's on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, blogs, and so on. In fact, 2.5 billion pieces of user-generated content are shared every day. 2.5 billion every day. That's a lot of pictures. Now the question is, how do you get to motivate your shareholders, your travelers, your residents to share their experiences in visual format, pictures and videos, and to really promote and tell their story to inspire other people. Here's one example from Australia. Someone took a picture which went viral, just a couple hours afterwards. Picture with a turtle, got 61,000 likes in just a few hours. Obviously, that's a very iconic picture, but you can see how powerful just a simple image can be to inspire people to travel to a destination. And if we do that, it strengthens consumer trust, it lifts engagement, and it drives sales. And it drives sales even more if we bridge that gap between media and commerce, which we call social commerce, when actually we not look just at the picture itself or the video itself, which just is a media piece, but we link it with commerce, where then we inspire people to actually transact, book a hotel, go on a trip, go into a restaurant, whatever it might be. And we can even top this more, and we can go into collaborative social commerce. Now, these are a lot of words just in 5 minutes of the presentation, but you can see that when we all work together, if you remember my first challenge slide, we don't have resources, but if we all work together, we can actually be very powerful. And the idea is, if everyone is promoting the Mekong region in some kind of way or form, suddenly we don't need a marketing budget of $1 million a month, but everyone is telling their story, and then we can even be more powerful than having a marketing budget of $1 million a month. So what did we do? We have the Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office, which I head up, which is a secretariat for the 6 governments, and we have a delegation from Cambodia here, the Director General of the Ministry of Tourism Cambodia, and you can ask him, you can ask Mr. Sak, how do we work with the countries directly? How does the secretariat work, and how do we execute initiatives? And we've done it in a way by creating a public-private partnership called Destination Mekong. And with this public-private partnership actually allows the countries to invest into projects and also the private sector to invest into projects in a very tangible way. So we created, various opportunities. Now again, it is about engaging the businesses regardless of size, because many times the tourism board, and I used to be there with Canada, only works with the big companies. In our case, Fairmont Hotels, Air Canada, Delta Hotels, and so on. But the small businesses, a little restaurant or a little walking tour, they are not part of the marketing strategy of a bigger tourism brand. It's always like, okay, if we bring people, you'll benefit, but they're not part in order to be able to collaborate. How can we do that? And always leverage the power of visual media, as I said before, and enabling businesses to promote their offers in real time, which then in the end also drives exposure for the destination as a whole. And in the meantime, we also build capacity by doing that. By creating all these tools, we're lifting the ability of these small businesses to actually promote their businesses even be more effective. So as I said, we created various initiatives. Some of them actually are quite award-winning now, which wasn't our intent. But Mekong Moments is our social commerce platform, which I'll talk about. The Mekong Mini Movie Fest, which I mentioned as well, is our campaign within the Mekong Moments platform, which just won a big award, and I'll mention that. We have the Experience Mekong Collection, which is a collection of responsible tourism businesses, small businesses around the region, where everyone who has maybe eaten in a small little restaurant, in a little hotel, have experienced a social enterprise, can nominate that business, and we have an advisory board, to then endorse that business. And then we work with a university where we select every year 6 businesses, one from each country, to write a case study so actually the industry can learn how these businesses have innovated to create experiences and leverage responsible practices. Mekong Stories, which is our kind of like online magazine to tell stories, and this is a different kind of magazine. We're looking to kind of bring it out and launch a website, but right now we're working a lot with bloggers and influencers, and then this content is syndicated. It's syndicated to platforms like Mekong Moments, but we're also working with tour operators, hotel companies that want that content as well. So it's more like a platform to syndicate powerful story content to our community of travel businesses. Mekong Trends is our insight platform, and MIST is very interesting because that stands for Mekong Innovative Startups in Tourism, and with that we actually leverage young, passionate entrepreneurs and startups, because we believe that the legacy platform of tourism in the region sometimes is unable to actually disrupt the marketplace, and it needs new solutions and new thinking. And there are lots of startups out there, but there is a gap between the industry and these startups. And we bridge that gap via this program. It's a co-project between the Mekong Tourism Office and the Asian Development Bank, and supported by the Australian government. I won't talk too much about this in this presentation, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. So, about Mekong Moments, it is what we call our social commerce campaign platform. It is a cooperative campaign where we enable any organization, regardless of type and size, to be part of promoting themselves, and as such also promoting the destination as a whole. It's a turnkey solution, so any business can be, have a listing for free on the platform, and then can upgrade, because we have to make this platform sustainable, obviously. So there are various revenue streams built in, but they're all creating more value for the organizations. We have a whole training platform around it to train these businesses how to leverage the platform, how to look at storytelling and social commerce. And again, it's a public-private partnership, so it's not, it's a platform that's really owned by the entire industry. I'll show you a quick video, and this video is won actually an award at ITB Berlin. But this, when you see all the pictures, you can see that all the content is actually aggregated from experiences from other people having in the Mekong region. So what's unique about the video is actually that this video can be customized by any country. So we customize it for Laos, for Luang Prabang, for Intercontinental Hotel Group, for one sustainable lodge in southern Thailand. They use it actually for recruiting, to get people excited about their brand. So again, this is a platform, but then anybody can use this video to promote it. And it has stories, so you can search for stories wherever you are. So we created a model, and the model is around travelers, where we inspire travelers, about stories. They create more information, they share their experiences, and then it can be booked, and they travel and they create more content. So this is really, and how do we inspire and motivate people to share their content? They put it on their own social media, so they still are in control of their content, if it's a video or a photo, because if you are a photographer or a videographer or just a blogger, one thing that these people hate more than anything is tourism boards and hotel companies doing a photo contest, and saying, oh, you can win this nice prize, send us your photo, and whenever you send this photo, we own it, So bloggers say, like, whenever we see this, we almost like boycott the entire country without actually the tourism boards many times knowing that it's actually going negative, and I see the nodding in the front row. So when it is actually posted on their own Pinterest or Instagram or Twitter, they have still in control. They tag it, we aggregate the content, So when they delete it on their own Instagram, it's also deleted on our platform, Now on the destination side, how do we engage the industry? Well, we engage the industry by creating mini social media contests. So I might, I stay in this hotel, I take a photo, maybe across the street, I put it on my Instagram, I tag it, but I also tag it with the hotel, with the hashtag of the hotel. And the hotel can say, well, every day, every week, every month, we give out a free prize, free stay, or free dinner, or whatever it might be. And so I'm motivated, but I'm also motivated to take good pictures because I want to win that prize. So that not only increases the quantity, but it also increases the quality. And what we're developing now is also an affiliate program where, let's say, a hotel brand like this can say, okay, whenever, let's say, someone takes a photo, let's say Patrick takes a photo of this hotel, and I click on it and then book a stay, that, Patrick gets a commission. So he's almost like a virtual travel agent. So it also drives business directly to the hotel. But again, as Patrick wants to get the commission, he's making sure that his photo is actually extra nice, that it inspires people. So again, it drives the quality of the platform. And that then drives business for the hotel. And the more hotels and restaurants and museums do that, the more the destination is promoted, So this is how it works. Now, on the local side, we're creating something what we're calling the Ambassador Program. Now, the Ambassador Program allows young people that are web savvy and want to have their own business to claim a destination. So they may claim, let's say, Luang Prabang in Laos, and say, you know what, we do the trainings, we help the businesses to understand how to leverage Mekong Moments, we help them to get their website up, we help them to do campaigns, and they get a commission back. So that we're actually building a whole platform of young entrepreneurs, which becomes our virtual workforce to drive this initiative. And also that drives capacity, that these small businesses that before didn't have the ability to run a social media campaign, or their website was there but it looked close to awful, that now have something that actually lifts the entire capacity of the destination and the region. Now, quickly, so we were, Google brought out a new report, which was done by Oxford Economics and Pata, and we were featured as one of the digital platforms at a global showcase, along with Grab and Klook and Airbnb. So also these are big companies with big investments, and then we were the other organization that they showcased. And also the European Travel Commission, they brought out a new report, and we were featured with Mekong Moments also in that report. We just won 2 awards. The only reason I say that is we are at the very early stage in developing this platform, but because the thinking is so different in really engaging the community and the stakeholders, that it gets traction already in the industry. Now, how do we create the stakeholder engagement? I talked about it. We engage the local industry by giving them tools, by get the travelers to tell their stories, to offer categorized content, and then really combine integrated online and offline activities. So again, it's really about motivating people to share their content and tag it. People are sharing their content already, but how can we get them just to add that relevant hashtag? You know, it shouldn't be that hard, but it needs to be done on the ground to really drive that. We just had a breakfast this morning with the Minister of Tourism Cambodia that really want to be very active now to push this forward, and we're talking about ways to communicate it via TV, but also on the airport. When you arrive at the airport, you're at immigration, there could be little cards that you pick up and you can win a trip to Cambodia, and there are instructions how to share your content and tag it. You know, because what gets people excited about sharing their content? It's pride, but it's recognition, and having incentives to do so. And then, as I mentioned, if anybody creates all these small businesses, create these micro social media contests, suddenly that creates a cloud where people say, you know what, I want to try this spa, I want to try this restaurant, and then more content is being created. And that content is not just on our platform, because normally when there are photo contests, that content is only on the tourism board website, but we have this content out, all the people that actually share it on their social media platforms, which is a lot more powerful. So this is how Mekong Moments looks like. You see the homepage, all these images come in. We have 3 levels of security, artificial intelligence that filters out content, and we have a social media team on our base that looks at content, and this could be, you know, quality of content, this could be obtrusive content, and then the 3rd level is actually at the business level, the tourism board or the hotel or the restaurant. They can also, so everyone is in control of the content. And then the platform owner, in this case, Mekong Tourism, can then say, okay, well, we let a business override. So for example, if a restaurant says, you know what, I want this picture, this was already taken out, but I want it, they can override it if we let them to override it. And then this picture is only on the restaurant website, on their image board, but not on the home page. So you can see that we give control. And these image boards can be embedded into anything from Facebook into their websites and so on. So here's pictures, and we associate the hashtag of that image with the URL of that website, which is on our system. You know, so people register on Invoke, you know, as a business. Invoke is the social commerce management platform. Then they can upgrade. We build a website builder in, like Wix or other ones, where they can develop their platform, a website which is private label with their own URL. And then this URL is associated to the hashtag. So as you can see there in the red box, I can now click directly on to the website of that business. You know, so that drives social commerce. So now I can book, you know, an experience with this elephant conservation in Laos. Now, we also now created our first destination website for Laos. So where Laos now has a new destination website. We just launched phase 1, and it's powered by this social commerce technology, meaning that the images come in, and again, if I click on an image, I can go directly into that business or that experience, you know, in Laos. I just don't see the picture like if I go to Instagram and say like, wow, this is great, but how do I actually experience that? But now I can do that, and I can filter it, and on the map, I see all the businesses as well. If they're just listed, it's for free, and they can upgrade to the website, as I said, and then link right on to the website, you know, which is on our platform. We also go thematic. So I mentioned our Experience Mekong collection, which are all responsible businesses. So it's its own branded platform within Mekong Moments. We're now also working with ASEAN to do a food platform, so a food platform for Southeast Asia, and we're starting with Thailand on that. So again, you know, it can be with destinations, but it can also be with themes. And you see here images coming in. All the responsible businesses have their own listing. We also go theme with heritage, so we're about to launch our Mekong Heritage platform. It's branded, private label, but again, it's on the Mekong Moments platform. And so you see here, we put all the UNESCO heritage sites in the Mekong region on it, and then you can click through to the website, in this case of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Another thing which I think is mostly important for this conference is thematic routes. So multi-country thematic routes is obviously something that's very important to our region, because these thematic routes create an experience. They're creating travel intent, they're collections of themes, of culture, history, and food, and they also bring in the locals and engage the tourism businesses. And they can become destinations in itself, like the Silk Road, for example, or the Danube River. We're working now also with Thailand on a Buddhist route, you know, so to create a whole a separate platform for this Buddhist trail. How does it work? Well, in the past, we looked at thematic routes more in terms of brochures, or it could be a website. But what do we see there? Well, we see all the sites, and we can see, well, if I go from place A to place B to place C, you know, I can see, you know, this attraction or that attraction. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't integrate the businesses. You know, it doesn't integrate the experiences. And it doesn't integrate the experiences people have had by going on that route. The next presentation will talk about someone who kind of traveled through the Silk Road and have had a lot of experiences. And I'm sure he took a lot of pictures and videos. But again, that content hasn't been shared, you know, for people that are looking to have that same experience on the Silk Road, right? You will correct me later on. But so we created with the Tourism Authority of Thailand, we created private label platforms for all these thematic routes. I'll take one, which is a Southern Coastal Corridor, which is connecting Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And again, it's also aligned to the agendas of the governments, because these are economic corridors where the governments are looking to drive economic activities. So it's custom branded. You see all the experiences that are on that route, and they then can be, again, clicked, and then you link directly to the experience of that place. You know, and here are all the experiences that people have shared on their social media, aggregated, and it has their own hashtag then for Southern Coastal Corridor. The last thing I want to talk about, as I mentioned before, is the Mekong Mini Movie Festival. So the Mekong Mini Movie Festival is our own campaign that we've done. So as I said before, all the businesses or tourism board, they can do their own campaign, but we've done our own as well. And this was, again, a public-private partnership with the 6 governments and the private sector. And people share their 60-second video, 60 seconds or less, and put it, again, on their own social media, tag it, and we aggregate it. And each country has their own website where we aggregate the Cambodia videos, the Thailand videos, the Myanmar videos, the Vietnam videos, and then we give out prizes. Or actually not us, but the governments give out the prizes, you know, for the best, most inspiring video. So this is kind of like, I'll show a quick video. Oh, starts already. So this was our promotional video for the Mekong Mini Movie Festival. And again, each country or even business can customize this video, let's say for Cambodia, for Thailand, for Laos. So what we've done is we integrate into our own conference, the Mekong Tourism Forum, where we give out the prizes. But we have 3 types of mechanisms to vote. One is we have an expert advisory board, which has filmmakers, CEOs of travel companies, and the ministries on it. So they vote. Then we have open voting, where people can vote from all over the world. And then we also engage the industry, because at the Mekong Tourism Forum, all the attendees, and we have one attendee in the room, Mr. Suat from Turkey, who joins us every year. So he was able to vote for his favorite video, and then we give out the prizes, and the prizes actually also look at conservation. So here's you see the customized website for the Mekong Minis, and we partner with WWF Cambodia to also look at conservation. So the prizes actually look like a Mekong dolphin, and so we're looking to raise awareness of wildlife conservation with that. Now what I'm going to show you now is the winning video from Cambodia. As you can see, we had over 300 videos that were coming in, and we reached over 7 million people. 7 million people. So I mean, 7 million people were inspired to travel to the Mekong region with no advertising budget at all. You know, so we had 700,000 video views, but these 700,000 video views were on our own platform. The 7 million came about because these videos are still on the social media accounts of the people that shared the video, that tagged the video. So again, for us, it doesn't matter if it comes to our own website. We don't care about that. You know, when I report to my board, and they're like, well, how much traffic did you get? I said, well, you know what, here's a number, but it doesn't matter. I don't care about traditional website metrics anymore. I don't care how much traffic I get to my website. I care about engagement and touch points and inspiration. We were able to inspire 7 million people to look at the Mekong region in a different way. And that's powerful. Now, I show you this video, and this is the winning video from Cambodia.
I guess there are many ways to explore a country. We chose the tuk-tuk.
This video inspires people to pack their bag and go directly to Cambodia. These videos are sometimes more powerful than a video that's created with a big budget by the tourism boards. And I was with the Cambodia delegation with the minister and Mr. Sak in China a couple months ago, and we showed this video, and a Chinese tour operator came to us and said, like, can I go to Cambodia? I'm inspired, you know. So again, this is very powerful. So to close up, you know, it's about collaboratively promoting a destination. It's not about pushing it from a brand, from a tourism board or hotel company or so on, but it's about creating a platform that enables anyone to contribute and work together. It's about creating a model that incentivizes the businesses to have a goal and to have results. So if a business sees that they can drive business, drive sales or exposure through this platform, then they will do it, and in the end, it will promote the region or the destination in itself. So we created this model called the 3 E's: exposure, engagement, and earnings. So how does it work? A business creates a listing for free on our platform, and then they can upgrade to a website. Now, when a business is registered or has their own website, this is a private label website. It's not branded Mekong Moments or Cambodia or Laos or food or whatever it might be. No, it's branded their own brand, their own hotel, their own restaurant, and so on. But it sits on the platform, and we charge a small fee every month that is basically a licensing fee. So that's exposure. So when I share then an image, you know, and this image has a tag of, you know, let's say, restaurant in Laos, in Luang Prabang, it shows up on the Luang Prabang platform, it shows up on the Laos platform, the Mekong platform, the Southeast Asia platform, and maybe also the food platform. you know. And then when I click, I can go directly to that website, you know. And so the second E is about engagement. It's about driving these campaigns. And the third one is, you know, this aggregated content that drives business directly to that business and then collaboratively promotes the region, you know. So we have then platforms for destinations, for themes, and for brands as well. If you want to learn more about our programs, you can download an ebook which has all our programs in there, including our startup program. We're just about to refresh that. We do it every year, and this is for the industry to kind of learn how to work with us and collaborate with us. And finally, I want to invite all of you to join us at our next Mekong Tourism Forum, which will be in beautiful Dali, Yunnan, in China, May 21 to 23. We always work together with the UNWTO, and it's hosted, obviously, by the ministries, this one by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of China. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Mr. Trenhart for this eye-opening speech. I had really great ideas just listening and watching all the videos and the presentation. It's really amazing. So as a filmmaker, I agree that telling stories is one of the best ways to promote whatever you want, especially touristic places, and using social media like that. It's something that we must do, definitely. And talking about stories, I want to present the next story, which is pretty amazing. You're going to see that. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Mr. Kai Marcus Xiong. I'm going to say a few words about him, and then he's going to present everything and tell his incredible story. With a background in finance, Mr. Xiong decided to pursue his life dream in 2017 with the Run My Silk Road initiative, a journey through the Silk Road aimed at breaking down barriers and intolerance through the means of sport and tourism. With the Run My Silk Road initiative, Mr. Xiong travels through a large part of the Asian Silk Road, a journey of 11,000 kilometers that started in Hamburg, Germany, and ended in Shanghai, China. Although injured on his way to Shanghai, Mr. Xiong was able to complete the journey and fulfill his dream. After his recovery, a similar feat was accomplished with a 6-week cycle journey. 6,300 kilometers from Norway to Greece. Thessaloniki was his final destination when he participated as a speaker at the 8th United Nations World Tourism Organization International Meeting on Silk Road Tourism. His motto is, if you can think it, you can do it. And during his keynote speech here in Bulgaria, Mr. Xiong will share his experience on the road and inspire people to make the world a better place through the means of mutual exchange and tourism. Mr. Xiong, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The Silk Road belongs to no one. The Silk Road belongs to us. That's what I believe. And I want to introduce you my initiative. I'm not a filmmaker, so the videos I make is not that professional, but maybe inspires you as well. And I totally agree with the speaker ahead of me. We need to make the small things big. That means everyone who travels should share. I'm 45 years old. I'm a German, but I'm married with a Chinese, so that's why I have a Chinese family name. And before this initiative, I just sit in an office. I just sit in an office watching my screen and basically do my job. But then there's one guy in the world saying we have to build walls. And I say, no, we don't need walls. We need bridges. We need culture bridges. We don't need walls at all. And then I take the money of my wife, I take the money of myself and start this initiative. Headline is I have traveled the route, and it's 12,000 kilometers, and why he say it's 11,000 you will see soon.
Es ist ein ein Lauf, wie ihn noch keiner geschafft hat. 12.000 Kilometer entlang der Seidenstraße.
For me, it was important that the running is just a vehicle. Everyone is focused on, oh my God, this guy is running 12,000 kilometers. That's not the point. Please focus on the people you see, on the stories from the people, on the countries, on the places. Running is the vehicle, because you not get media if you don't do anything crazy. That's a fact. If I go to you, you are a media producer, and I say, hey, I got Marcus, I never run, but I want to run to China. What do you say? This is interesting. If I go to you and say, hey, I want to talk about prejudice, say, that's what I experienced.
Ein Lebenstraum, der sich ganz anders erfüllen wird, als erhofft.
Das Motto ist ja Run to Break Down Prejudice, also Vorurteile abbauen helfen. Wenn du sagst, ich gehe als Nichtläufer marathonmäßig von Hamburg nach Shanghai, guckt der ein oder andere mal.
You have to tell someone, I never run before, and officially in April next year I will make my first marathon in Hamburg. That's true. But I believe that's what you say in your entrance. If you can think it, you can do it. That's what I totally believe, but people need to see something they can prove it.
So kam das. Ich habe eine chinesische Frau, einen Sohn, ist also mein zweites Heimatland.
Everything I did, I put in this project. That's why I really can say honestly, the Silk Road is my life. I quit my job, I give up my office, I leave my family. My son was just 1 year, and I don't know what happens. I really don't know what happens, because it's an adventure. You cannot prepare in a way you have a book, someone did it before and you can copy it. It's not possible. So everything is done by heart, and you will see what means done by heart, and it starts with logo and all these things. The Silk Road, we talked today, this morning with the Indian lady. What's the Silk Road? There's so many ways, and I have to choose one. I choose this one because there's already a company developed this way. They have support there and supply there, so I don't need to make anything new. But what I experience is there's so many other countries I want to cross on my Silk Road, but it's still not possible because you have to finance it. And again, if I come to you and say, hey, I want to run to China, I never run to China, can you give me maybe 200,000 euros?
No.
Can you give me 200,000 euros?
If I had, yes.
Can you help me with money?
Yes, of course.
For this project, 200,000 euros? Thank you. This is the most answer I get. If you finish in our country, if you finish in my place, but sorry, I'm Chinese and Hamburg and Shanghai are sister cities, so I cannot tell the Hamburg government, hey, you're supporting me, but now I choose another city to finish. And you see a small detour here. You cannot run to China without visit your father-in-law, right? I mean, they get upset. So you have to make a detour. The map looks quite nice, but it's 1,000 kilometers detour. And what people say, he's just running to China to drink a coffee with father-in-law. By plane, by the way, it's just 14 hours.
Täglich 60 bis 80 Kilometer laufen. Durch 8 Länder. Ziel Shanghai.
The 60 to 80 kilometers is calculated, which is not harm the body. And I'm very happy that our former mayor from Hamburg, Olaf Scholz, now is Minister of Finance, take the patronage for this project. Because if you want to get media, and I go to media, again, I'm nobody. I just sit in an office before. Can you make a little bit videos for me? Can you help me a little bit? They say no. I don't know why, but they say no. So, but if you have a mayor from a city or some other key persons and he invite media, of course they come. So that's something I want to put in your paper notes. If adventurers come to you and need maybe a person, just give a reputation and a name, support them, prove the project, seriously, sure. There's many dreamers, they just have weird dreams. But if you can help them with just the person who put the reputation in, they get awareness, and this is awareness you get. That's quite simple and costs nothing because he's not paying me or something like that. He just use his name and invite the media for the announcement of this project. We make 33 culture bridge stops. That means on 33 places, I make a whole day event with the culture in this country or this place.
Monatelang wird unterwegs sein, ohne seine Familie.
But I get another family, a big one.
Das erste Mal Papa aus einem Videocall zu hören oder aus einem Videoclip zu hören und nicht im Wahn. Du kannst ihn nicht anfassen, du kannst nicht riechen, du kannst nicht spüren, du kannst nicht in den Arm nehmen, wenn er traurig ist, du bist einfach nicht da. Das zehrt bis heute noch an mir, das ist schwierig.
Den Alltag des einjährigen Xavier bekommt sein Vater unterwegs nur über Videos mit.
Please raise your hands if you have children. What's the longest time you not see your children? What's the longest time you don't see your son or your daughter? And it feels horrible. So, and then you start to leave your family for unexpected time. You calculate maybe 5 months, but practically you don't know it. And you have to explain this to your wife. Hey, honey, you just migrate to Germany, you learn the language, you get new in a society. I'm not here for a while. I mean, I don't need to tell you what happens when you come back. Silk Road creating dreams, like this guy, he meet me and he want to have also this kind of
Alleine
experience.
ist der 45-Jährige nicht. Sein Freund Viktor begleitet ihn mit einem VW Käfer. Egal wie holprig der Weg.
That's our 5-star hotel. And I prepare everything to do it alone because we could not find a suitable driver for a supply car. And 4 weeks before the start, Victor, who developed the route with me and planned the details, say, hey, I have a driver. I ignore him completely. 4 weeks before the start, you don't want to hear anything, and especially no jokes. He called again, and he called again. He called 4 times to tell me he know a driver. Then he say, you don't want to know who's the driver? I don't believe there's anyone, sorry. And I don't have any motivation now to talk this shit. I say, yeah, but I come with you. But only with my car, not with the car you want to have. And he says it's a 48 Volkswagen Beetle with 34 horsepowers. And we have a trailer which is 750 kilograms. And I just ask him, you think the car can do it? And he say, you think you can do it? I mean, it's fair enough, right? So it's crazy to prepare you all from tourism industry. Visa for those countries. The car allowance to bring this car to these countries. To organize how the car come back later in just 4 weeks. The trailer was not there, he only have the car. So organize a trailer, get it fine and sponsored, whatever. It's a new pressure, but it's also nice to have someone come with you. And then we start in Hamburg, 12th of March last year. We only had 9 months preparation, which is very tight, because normally for this kind of projects you need 1.5 to 2 years, but I don't have the budget for that. I was very emotional because we don't expect there's many people coming. We just expect, okay, we start and make a nice picture and go. But again, when you get support just with a name from a mayor or some other small support, you can make it bigger, you can scale it up. We get bigger and smaller sponsors. And again, Breakdown Prejudice means I take a Chinese sport brand to run with their shoes because in Germany we think the shoes are not good. So I run 12,000 kilometers, 11,000 kilometers with them. You see the firefighters, they're running for social reasons, so they come to this event and run with me. And they're especially happy for one friend, Frank, because he's overweight, here is it. And he ran with me because he have a new idea for his own purpose. So what the speaker before says is, run, make it big for the small people. We had one team meeting, and the team is just friends because you don't have budget. You cannot go to anyone and say, hey, I pay you for something. But what I'm be taught from my grandparents is, alone you can reach many things in your life. But only united, only together, you are able to reach everything. So the whole project is I'm just the one who acting, but the people behind is the power and the key. But it's also a fact, we only have one team meeting to organize everything. We meet only once. We don't have budget and we don't have time, and they all have families and have to work. But people told me before it's not possible. And I say, why not? If we want to do it and we can think it, we do it. At the same time, I believe Silk Road is a kind of future because the people we meet and the people we get in touch, they are the key person. We try to put them in the TV, not only ourselves.
Mittlerweile hat schon über 2000 Kilometer der gesamten Strecke nach Shanghai geschafft.
And I like bloggers and I like website content, but I agree again with the speech before. If you have TV, you reach much more. But go to the TV station and say, please, can you air it? They say no. They say no. You say, please air it. They say no. You know, it's not crazy enough, or oh, we don't know if you really can do it. Oh, no, you put a sponsor in the picture. We don't like to show sponsors without payment. All these things. Listen carefully. They put sponsors in the pictures without payment. They do that. They just don't know it. You have to blackmail people sometimes in a positive way. Sorry, the first mayor of Hamburg first don't want to do it. Then I say, okay, I like he do it, but if he say no, what should I do? Then I take a mayor from Bavaria. So in Hamburg, if you take a mayor from Bavaria, they say, no, it's not possible. Why? I know this guy is a friend of mine because I live there. I'm born there. No, let us think about. I mean, it's blackmailing, right?
Seine Geschichte fasziniert unterwegs viele. Neue Freundschaften entstehen.
And with the support of UNWTO and other people, we find a way. When I start with this idea, I realize Hamburg and Shanghai have 30 years anniversary for sister citizenship. It's a good point. It helps you. At the same time, we have a Hamburg summit, which is every 2 years and the highest ranking meeting between China and Germany. It was the same time. So a new TV format starts to showing Chinese in Germany and Germans in China, but they have nothing in between. So many things you have to think about to match it and bring it together. So with this TV format, they want to show Chinese in Germany and Germans in China. They give me the chance to show every day 2 minutes live in TV. So every day 2 minutes live means I be in your country and I can sit there with my own phone and say, hey, hello, I'm in Afghanistan now. We meet just this beautiful lady and we're talking about the culture. So the people get experienced about the reality in a country. And from my perspective, it's the only way to break down prejudice, show reality. Show the real life of people. Don't show your own life. You cannot read it in a book, what's the reality in a country.
Treibstoff für Strecken, die viel länger sind als ein Marathon. Fast jeden Tag.
That's my son, and he has the secret number. I try to raise him the same way like I'm raised from my grandparents. Is anyone knowing what this number can have a meaning? It's 1,000. When you be a baby and you just can crawling, how often you fell down before you can walk? 600, 700, 800 times. You never will give up, right? Because you want to walk, because everyone walks. If you learn cycling, you need about 500, 600, 800 times to learn it. You have more fail than success. That's normal. I listened to the story of Afghanistan yesterday. There was many bad things happens, but you get up again. You get up again. So when you ask sponsors, I can tell you running is quite easy compared to that. Can you help me? No. 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 Please raise your hands if you ever apply for a job. And now lift the hands up if you ever get rejected for an application. And 2 times rejected or 3 times. You know this feeling after 3 times application you don't get a job. You know the feeling after 5 times application you don't get a job. But you can imagine the feeling after 815 no's for your support, and all your teams say, hey, you don't realize it is not working. They say, 1,000. When I try 1,000 times, then I accept, I give up. That's what my grandparents told me. If you cannot do it, just try 1,000 times. If you really cannot do it, like school, mathematics, my grandfather said, then you don't need to go to school anymore, but you try 1,000 times. And that's a key why many people, they have a life dream, are not successful. They're giving up with 200, 180. And they don't know, soon you will get it. And I tell my son, I will never help you in your life. I just will help you to find out how you fix problems. but I not fix your problems. And that's why my appreciation for all the sponsors I get is much higher after you get 815 no's. If the first one say yes, the feeling is different. It's completely different. Then talk about the facts. The route was planned at 12,000 kilometers. 7,000 kilometers is before China, so the other part is in China, in just one country. We only have 9 months preparation. We have desert, snow, mountains, all kinds of surfaces. We have no money but high costs, and there's hundreds of regulations. When you go into other countries, there's, oh my God, this camera you cannot bring, the car have a problem, this you cannot do, this is not allowed. Make it easier for us, please. If there's any one of the administrations, make it easier for us. Every 6 to 10 days, we make a stop, like here in Lanzhou. They have the famous Lanzhou noodles. So this is a part of the live show we shown in the TV. And if you run in Germany, it's not really exciting as a German, you know? You just run Hamburg, Berlin, to the Poland border. It not feels special, but you have the most pressure on this tour because you have an accident there. Everyone say, ah, see, big mouth. A very big mouth. Just 200 kilometers and then stop. So you cannot accept anything bad there. But on the other side, our trailer was finished 1 day before we start. We get the trailer 1 day before we start. We could not fix anything inside. So we try to do this on the first days. In the evening, in the afternoon, after my running, we try to buy some boards. We fix some things inside. It's 1.20 meters wide and about 2.20 meters long. So can you imagine we just know each other for a couple of weeks and we stay together in a trailer for many, many months? Sleep together in this trailer and have fun together?
Cozy.
Cozy. And one of these two guys is running every day and sweating like hell. You don't have a washing machine, right? You must like each other quite a lot. And especially when we started, where you put your clothes? Outside is raining. Your smelly, sweaty clothes. Yeah, of course you put it inside. So again, it's a teamwork, and Victor is not here, but he have the same. If he's not here in this project, the project maybe will not happen. He have to accept this, and later you will see what I have to accept. In Berlin, there's a Chinese coming. He say, I'm from Shanghai, what is this? Why you have this on your map? So you get awareness with this kind of trailer board. The sponsors get pictured there. All the media could not make the picture from the trailer without their logos. And we come to Poland. And what you see when you watch to my shoes? I mean, you see shoes, but is there anything else you can see? Yeah, there's Warsaw, Poland written on it. Remember this? We need it later. It was -8 degrees to +20 degrees. And 20th of March is the last time I see my family because I had a chance to bring them to Poland, to Poznań, to show my parents-in-law another city, another place. And that's the last real view of my son I had before I really leave him completely. And this video follows me the whole way because it's the only last live impression I had from him. Our trailer was too heavy, the car was too low, so we have to go to a car repair. We don't have money, but they're very, very generous. They give us a small sticker put on the car. They repair our car. And it's frozen. And then your teammate came and say, hey, it's cold, right? Yeah, we don't expect this temperature, but it's getting colder. Okay. Then you lay in the trailer, and the whole trailer is shaking. And you open the light, and you see a person next to you, completely blue, freezing fingers, nearly dying. I say, Victor, what's going on? I didn't tell you, but I have a medical problem with colds. When it's less than 20 degrees, I cannot regulate the temperature. So, and I'm not prepared for this situation because I don't care for cold, but he. So he put my sleeping bag, he put my things, I sit with my running clothes there. But you are together. What you should do, you can blame him and you get a lot of pressure for that, but still you are together. But it's not so perfect situation if someone tell you in this moment. A little bit earlier, we can talk with someone, hey, can you help us with a better sleeping bag? Maybe this you will do, right? But this is the challenges on this tour. We have the first time CCTV come to Poland to make an interview for the Chinese audience. And again, because we find the right format to promote these things. But still, Poland it's not exciting because it's our neighbor country. But what we realize is with the map we have, everyone pointing to something on the map and say, hey, my cousin comes from here, my brother lived there, I know someone there, and we find a way to make the Silk Road for them, not for us. And these 2 videos, sorry, is not running, but this dog was quite nice. One morning, there's a dog, very well-trained dog, and he followed me the whole day. The whole day. I mean, I call it making friends. And when I want to cross the street, he stopped me. We cannot talk, obviously, but he stopped me, he checked the road, and when he's free, he pushed me over. I mean, and it's one day before the Belarus border, so I could not bring this dog out of the country. But it was a nice experience. And we have to find each other on places we don't know. We have a map, sure, but Victor have to wait on a place I will arrive. So you have to organize that, and you have to trust each other without know you very well. And if Victor is not there, there's no food, there's no drink, there's no bed to sleep. If I'm not here, he don't know what to do. So we find a way how to adapt to each other, and many people on the road asking that and using that for their own situation, their own country or their own place. People that know me better know I can be very angry, and I can be very violent, and especially when you're running already about 50 kilometers, and then you get a call, hey, where are you? You know where I am, you have my GPS. Yeah, but do you mind you come back? No, I don't want to come back. You are 10 kilometers behind me. Yeah, you know, I stuck in the sand. Okay, use the sand plates. You know, I want to buy them when we come to the desert. Okay, we don't have sand plates? No? Okay, you run back. There's no other option, right? And this is a day which is not very smooth. You hate each other. You hate each other. Deeply hate each other. I mean, 10 kilometers is not a problem, but after 50 kilometers, you have to go this way, not that way. And it's a car and a trailer, and we are 2 people. So one take the car and one take the trailer. That's a fact. And if you not do it, you blame each other for too long, you lose a lot of energy, but you not fix anything. And I don't know how strong people can be, but I learned on this tour a lot about Victor and a lot about myself. And later, Victor will get a special role in this project. You will be very surprised. But what we should do, I take the trailer because he not let anyone drive his car. It's his baby. He called the combination Bhagavan. I mean, that's crazy enough. People asking why we have a bike. Because Victor cannot run that fast like me, but he have to make videos. You know, when he run behind me and shaking, it's not working. So he put a gimbal on it and he cycled behind me, and we never locked the bike. We never locked the bike, and they tell us it will be stolen very fast. No, just short before the end it was stolen. But we think it's a child, just want to go to school. What I realized when I talk with sponsors and authorities, if you make this project for your own purpose, only for your own thing, everyone tell you clearly, then finance it with your own. Then help yourself. We're not supporting you. You have to make it for the society. Like here, this guy with the book, he invited us to his home. They have nothing. The house even don't have windows. Nothing. But he told me about his marriage, his wife, the family. They live across the border to Ukraine. He talked about his military time. And we have to sleep in their bedroom. They sleep in the living room on the sofa. We get shocked. They not accept we sleep in our trailer. They offered their bed. Yeah, sometimes we get prisoned with the car because in Germany we don't need the original document from the insurance for the car, but other countries told us you need. Victor say, I have it, but we could not find it. So they prison us. Again, what you see on my shoes, that's the city name or the place name, Walislievka, and this is shoe number 6. And what we did is, all the time when I change the shoe, every shoe get a number. I write something emotional on it, like the place or some people's name or university name, I give a speech, and I write the kilometers, how much I run with this shoe. And how you want to show this in TV when you don't show the shoe. I mean, it's not possible, right?
But the story for the people, for the local media is nice because that's their city name. So the local TV have a huge interest to show this guy writing our city name on his shoes. So that's the key, you get the media supporting you and your sponsors because you have a responsibility for your sponsors. I mean, they not give you support without any return. But also nice for the people because they really see you like their place. And the names is not decided before. The names is just in this moment I write it, I think about it. So all the names are very, very emotional. By the way, the temperature gets from -10 to +33. And Russia was the country I have the most prejudice myself. And when you want to talk about reduced prejudice, you have to be clear about yourself. I was very afraid about Russia. And I was that afraid that I talked with many, many friends in Germany. Up to the end, I get the personal phone number, the mobile phone number from an ex-chancellor in Germany, from Gerhard Schröder, which is a good friend of Putin. And they told us, please not use it when you're running out of fuel. Only use it when you have a really big problem. I can tell you, you don't need this in Russia. It's a place I really, really like, and this is what I share. But my prejudice was, when my shoes, the slippers here, is away, I wake up in the morning and say, you know, they told us the Russians are thieves. They take my shoes. Victor didn't say anything. He's a quiet person. Half an hour later, he comes and say, by the way, I think maybe the shoes is taken by some dogs. I said, okay, shut up. Don't think bad about the people and learn, reduce it. It's fact, the shoes are taken by dogs. And Victor drives behind me very close because it's slippery, it's icy, and we have a little bit like Blair Witch Project pictures. Again, this guy have a medical problem with cold. And I say, Victor, can you lay here to make a video for me? And he say, you sure? I say, yeah. Okay. And he did it. He did it. But he's nearly dying, really. And I'm very appreciative about that because it's not his life dream, you know? It's my life dream. Why you should do something that passion for other people's life dream? And for me it was nice because I'm from the mountains. I like snow, but he hates snow. So we have very nice talks in the evenings. But we have also very nice talk with the local people, how you keep warm in this temperature, what you're doing. We meet people the same age like me, like these two Russian brothers there. We don't speak any Russian word, they don't speak any language. We know, but we talk 1 hour. We talk about Donald Trump, we talk about North Korea, we talk about Germany, just not with words. But we really understand what the other people say. That's why we say for education, you don't need in the first step to learn languages. You need to learn to communicate with people. You really need to learn to communicate, and communication is different than language. And we had a chance to visit a reservoir. By the way, media, that's an Adidas athlete. And I have 361 as a sponsor, and he should put my shoe in the TV. I like it. I like it, because we put the city name on it where he promote me to run. So we make a combination together. And this is build a bridge between brands. Can you lower up the voice a little bit? No, cannot, okay. And we have this Culture Bridge Day also in Volgograd. You know, historical-wise, Volgograd and Germany have a history from the Second World War. So I force my sponsor to come there, because their European headquarters is in Netherlands, and I say, here, you come here, we make an event, they're running an event, but we also go to the national symbols of the Second World War with young people together. And they did it. And this is what the people in this country appreciate. You bring others to face the history and discuss it with us, and it was amazing, because the young people have a different thinking about the Second World War than the older ones. And we run together, but at the same time, they have a running club there. They're running ultra marathons in the desert, 130 kilometers. And they say, hey, when you come to our city, you know, you have the culture day here, which is also my rest day. They say, do you mind tomorrow we go running together? No, I want to get in touch with people. Yeah, sure. How much? Oh, 5 or 10 kilometers? Yeah. And in the evening with this group, 5 or 10 kilometers, and with another group, 5 or 10 kilometers on your rest day. Should you say, oh, me, no, I don't want to run? No, you want to get in touch with people. Running is not the purpose. But we didn't calculate that. We didn't expect that. So every Culture Bridge Day was also a running day. Everyone. And it's nice. You see, we bring the local people into the TV. They go home to their parents and say, hey, Daddy, you seen I was in the TV today. This is much more efficient than you put yourself in the TV. This guy stopped me and say, hey, stop. Wait half an hour, wait. Yes, you're sure, you have a target, right? Wait half an hour is quite simple. No, take your time. He come back after 1 hour with this, I don't know the English word for that, but this is what the soldiers have around them, the ID tag from the Second World War. Their family keep it because one soldier has died at their family, and they don't want to give it to any tourists before because they think they take it as a souvenir home. But then he listened the story about me in the TV and say, I think I can trust you. You bring it back to Germany that this family is informed, their father, husband, whoever, is died here, and he gave me a letter for that. So this is really touching because you really, this is nothing you can buy, this is nothing you can push. This is touching, and that's a real story which follows me the whole life. And it was worth to wait that long because another family know now what happens with the person they miss. The pulse is going up. We're running on a Culture Bridge Day, and we go to all the heritages. And again, every day 2 minutes live in TV shows all that. So we can promote on TV these destinations. And after the people realize from these governments and these places, oh, he make live every day and show the nice things. Everyone want to be a part of that. But before, when we ask, can you support, everyone say, no, we don't know if you really can do it. It's a risk for us. So in tourism industry, sometimes you need to trust the adventurers. You have to prove what they're doing and how they prepare, but learn to trust. And bring sponsors in their countries. They set up new business corporations. They think about how we can sell our product in these countries. They get the first contact there. The first fence is broken down. And we learn from generations. I mainly talk with children and with very old people because they can tell you the history and the future. The people in my age always say, that's crazy, I will not do that. The kids always say, wow, that's crazy, I also will do that. And the old people say, yeah, I think you can do that. But my age say, I don't know. And Victor and me, we meet many people, they want to drink with us, but we cannot drink, you know. So we try to be without drinking in Russia, which is quite challenging, but it works. They're not hungry or something like that. Then we go to Kazakhstan, and I think I can run without a shirt, you know. I'm quite naive. I run without a shirt, so I get a really, really big sunburn, level 3, and sleep on that. It's not so nice. And why you think our head is between the trailer and the bug? If you watch carefully, you see also our shuffle. Again, we're stuck in the sand, and again, Victor say, I will buy the sand plates when we come to the desert. Yeah, it's fine. I know already. Running back, helping out, but now we take it with more fun. So even the biggest challenge you can take with fun once you experienced it, you know, okay, what happens now? We have to suffer. Okay, let's take it out. Let's find a place to sleep. Finish this day. Why this video is always continuing, this is my day. I don't want to show you a whole length video, but it's just running every day. And Runner's World was visiting me, and he write in an article, I cannot run like this guy because he always stop and continue, stop and continue. Stop. For every person on the road, he stopped. Yeah, I'm there for build bridges, right? So for every person, I stop, and this makes them more interesting. Okay, I try to speed up. Just give you some impressions, and all these pictures which is aired in China in the TV, in Germany in the TV, even in some other national TVs, in the local TVs, because we find a format for that. And you're a filmmaker, we have no idea about filmmaking. I make all the pictures like the Chinese do in this format, and Victor one day say, one question, how you want to put these pictures in a TV? Why you tell me now, not earlier? So that's why from Poland we have not so many exciting pictures, because I always make this. And for TV, we realize if you want to get the awareness for the TV, they don't have the budget or sometimes not interest to bring the camera team to the desert or to places outside because it costs a lot of money. if you make the footage yourself and you say, if we make an interview, we give you the footage, they're completely happy. They cut it, they have a cutter, they make everything, but don't ask us to bring a camera team outside to your place. You need to have a lot of discipline, because I don't know if any one of you have been in a desert. Who has been in a desert? Okay. I don't believe in motivation, because even I watched a picture of my son, I hate to run there. It's hot, it's painful. The only thing is helpful is discipline, discipline, discipline. And at the same time, this is the altitude profile. From one day to the next, very sharp, is getting higher and higher, but unfortunately you have to run down before you climb the next one. They didn't tell me before, and I don't take it so seriously. These guys coming with a big SUV to us, and we think they are killing us because they have guns in the car and it looks like a tank. They just saw the bug. The one guy of them is a fan of bugs, and he wants to see these crazy people in the desert with a bag of one.
Das ist einfach falsch zu sagen, das ist Motivation. Also wirklich nur Disziplin zu wissen, ich habe mir das vorgenommen, das steht in meinem Kalender drin, heute ist Laufen angesagt, heute muss ich die und die Kilometer machen. Dann wird das jetzt gemacht.
And that's a challenge. You know you have to reach the daily target. You could not be delayed because we are Germans. And in China they're asking which day you arrived. They want to have an Excel sheet. And half of the way is distance, the desert. And it's not one desert, it's quite a few deserts. And this was Victor's time because he loves it when it's warm. For me it's okay, I like it. But when you only see desert, for 1 month it's okay maybe. 2 months, 3 months. And it's getting up to 50 degrees plus Celsius. And you come from a country which is also quite hot. And if you're not trained for that and you're not grown up there, then it's quite challenging. And you have to learn how the water consumption works, how many water you need. And when your body tells you, sorry, yesterday I forgot to buy water, then you don't have water. Then you drink beer or coffee, or instant coffee, which is already fixed. And when we talk about history, this guy in the middle is our guide in Uzbekistan. He explained us the whole country on a not tourism guide view. That's what people talking about their country. I had the first pain, I get the first injury, I go to hospital, the doctor is laughing and say, you're running every day, what do you expect? It's normal, just take this cream and you cannot make a rest, I understand, then just continue, it will be painful, it's fine. Okay? In other countries, they're not so fast suffering like us in Germany. Again, we show the world heritages like this is a UNESCO heritage. We get in touch with the people. We meet the Chinese ambassador in Tashkent, which is quite unique as a German. We don't have a Chinese passport, but luckily no one asked for our passport. They know us already from all the media. And we get a TV show live, talking with young people about motivation, about discipline, about how you can chase your life dream, what you do when you really want to give up your university because it sucks and it's hard and it's painful. And that's something which also benefits the countries. You need something to encourage your own society, not only tourism. Because the people's society have more trust to tourism when they get encouraged by that. There was Children's Day in Uzbekistan, Children's Day. Where's your child? My wife gave me a very bad call. Children's Day, don't talk about me. You're not at home. Yeah, it's her right. It's honestly, it's her right. If you be a mother, you will understand this. Again, we bring sponsors to Uzbekistan to get the first contacts there. And you can know many things from books and from TV, but what all the speakers before say, you need experience. As a tourist, you need to experience how the people are, how they look to you, how they talk to you. And we talk with them, like on this, in this video. I ask them what they want to say about their country. When I talk about Uzbekistan, I can give my point of view. But what they want to say other people about Uzbekistan, for example. What's their impression other people should get? And again, you make them as a stars. You make them as an important person. At the same time, you can promote heritages. And on this place, this guy meet me in Kyrgyzstan. He follow me since the preparation, and he say hello to me in this way. Hello, I'm happy you are here. And I like Hitler so much. Please tell me more about him. You're German. The camera is running. What you should say? It's like here. You not give hands. You know, there's a culture gap between us. I say, I just arrived, maybe we can drink a tea first? You know, I want to bring the cameras away and then I want to discuss from my point of view, but I don't want to blame him because he has a different perspective. But Kyrgyzstan is the last country before China, and I can see already on this picture the mountains. By the way, Victor made these pictures in an altitude about 2,000, 3,000 meters. But it takes me 1 day to convince him there because he forgot to tell me he's afraid of height. Quite challenging because without pictures there is not so funny. And we have Runner's World and someone from an American running magazine. They're running the Pamir Highway. You can see here the slopes we're running up the last day before we reach the top. And they say in their articles, this guy have the most, sorry for the word, shit running style we ever seen. And my answer was, yeah, but it's still working since 7,000 kilometers. Because I'm not a runner. I have no idea what's a running style. I just have to run every day. That's human being. Running and walking is human being. Don't think too much. Don't make it too complicated. Don't make it crazy. This makes me afraid and then I lose my trust. And Victor have to bring this thing with the soap bubbles inside and he don't know why. And I told him, when the custom take it, I will kill you. You have to protect it with your life. And he don't know why. But for me, the whole project was like a big dream. And a big dream is like a bubble. One impact and it splashed. And on the Pamir Highway, on the top of our altitude, I take it on and say, see, Victor, this is what I believe in dreams. We can reach dreams, but we should be careful with it. Then we reached China, and my first shoe I call Happy. And in China, you're not allowed to make a picture on the border. Now I get a permit to use it, but how you make a picture on the border is not possible. Everyone making pictures from you, but you're not allowed to make one for yourself. So I realize when I cross the border, they taking out their phones, I take my phone, just put it to them and stay there. And the normal behavior of people is,
So 50% der ersten
you give me the hand when I give my hand.
Das
If you
war
give them the phone, they make a picture for you.
Jetzt kommen die anderen 50%, wahrscheinlich müssen wir jetzt alles aus.
And then we change a little bit the rule because the custom took us 3 days in China. And then this highway, you're not allowed to run to the highway. But besides the highway, you cannot run. It's a restricted area. So you run in the channel between the highway and the fence. But every few 100 meters is a stop fence. So you have to climb over. Victor needed a Chinese driving license, which is quite challenging because it's only allowed for 3 months, but we stay there 5 months. And you have to put all the provinces you cross, but there's not enough place for it, technical-wise. So we ask a lot challenge for other people, and they all find a solution for us. This is a part of the story. All the countries we cross find a solution, not want to stop us. And that's very important because sometimes we suffer under customs, sometimes we suffer with authorities, but fact is they help us. Why? We want to show their countries in a positive point of view. The bad things we all know. Victor's car was broken. We need new clutches. Find new clutches for an 84 Volkswagen Beetle produced in Mexico, in China. It's quite difficult. They like more new cars. So we get someone help us, send it from Europe to China. Then they have a manual book and put it in. I don't know how it works, but it works. There's a little shoe of my son. The other shoe is with my wife. And we say we will unite them in Shanghai. And every place I put the shoe, I will bring my son in later as a new tourist. You see the logo, the panda bear and the oak leaf. My Chinese name is Shong, and this is the Chinese word for bear. The national symbol for China is the panda bear. The first name of my son is Xavier Shishu, and Shishu means strong tree. So the oak tree is a German national symbol. So we create our own logo for this project, which reminds me all the time, family is the most important in the world. And I think this unites us in all the countries. I don't see any country who not agree. Family is the most important in our lives. Then we have a company from Shanghai. They ask, hey, when you're coming to Gobi Desert, can you make a detour and running with us for maybe 80 kilometers with our company? Yeah, sure, detour is no problem. And then one of the most exciting moments in my life, after 6 months, they make a surprise for me. It was planned 4 weeks later. They bring my wife and my son to me, and I was afraid. He recognized me. He still say, Daddy, or he say, who's this guy? And I told my wife, not bring him directly to me. That's too fast. Put him down, and we see what happens. And this moment to wait if he come or not feels like hundreds of years. It feels like hundreds of years. But who make the video? Victor, who not see his family the same long time. You can imagine that. You have to picture the happiness of another one during you miss your own family. So this you have to see in the background when you talk about projects and emotions and storytelling. And he was so nervous and afraid that when the video is not working, I get very angry. And at the same time, he's missing his family. And this is what, again, the people locally we meet get appreciated, because we really show how important family is. And we show we are not different. You may have a different face, a different skin color, a different religion, but you love families, right? He not put the crown on me, he take the crown because he's the king, he say. It was my birthday, and we meet the National Tourism Bureau of China, which is a great honor. And from this moment on, we get more support in China, of course. Just one meet, one picture we can post, and we get more awareness and more support. And we're running and see nice places. And always keep in mind why you're doing that is meet people, build bridges, reduce the prejudice, show the nice stories of this country. But you cannot plan everything. And when you cannot plan anything, sometimes things happen you don't like. Like in Gobi, I expect only sand. This is Gobi. This is also Gobi Desert. And I learned from Afghanistan pictures yesterday, there's not only dry and sand. You have mountains, you have snow, it's possible to ski in Afghanistan. People don't know that. We should tell them. Then we get a lot of rain, and the Chinese always looking to us how we dig the road free. And after we did this, because Victor have to pass with his car, they say, thank you, the Germans are really nice, they help us to open the street. But no one helps us. It's not bad, it's nothing bad, but it's just something you get confused. And then, 1,200 kilometers before Shanghai, I had an accident. Both of my heel bones are broken in thousands of pieces. And I sit for several months in a wheelchair, and no one can tell me if I ever can walk or not. I make the surgery in China because you cannot break down prejudice and say, no, let me fly home to Germany. I don't trust another country's medicine. Everyone convinced me to fly back. I say, no, I make it in China because it happens here, and it was a good decision. But we promise we finish in Shanghai. That's what we're starting for, Victor and me. So when Victor come to the hospital, he tell me his car is broken the same day. I tell him, oh, nice, my feet also. So what we did is, Victor's only question was, you know, car is broken, your feet is broken, how much? And I say 20. And my wife say, what are you guys talking? What is 20? I say, runner, no feet, driver, no car. Victor have to continue. I mean, we are a team, right? So Victor starts running every day 20 kilometers. 1,200 kilometers to Shanghai. I make the surgery and continue from hospital to hospital with my recovery program. And it's the way we go to Shanghai. In life, you cannot give up, because if you give up in life, you make suicide. Why we should do that? Life is too beautiful. Now I know how it feels in a wheelchair. I'm more appreciative about the people they have to suffer in a wheelchair. I talk with the governments. This is not friendly for handicapped people. My son controls everything since this moment. He knows daddy is handicapped. So even the camera he checked is something bad inside. There is no taxi can take me with a wheelchair. They don't do in China in these cities. So, okay, you sit in the back of the car. There's no problem. In the train, my wheelchair not fits in, so I have to sit on my butt on the entrance door because we cannot bring the wheelchair in. Doesn't matter. We promise we finish in Shanghai. Keep your promise. Keep your promise. And this is why we get support from sponsors and others, because we could show them before that's a part of life. Whatever happens, we will find a solution. Maybe the solution is different than expected. And I'm not allowed to walk. So I go with my Bavarian traditional leather trouser and my sponsored shirt. The first steps against the doctor's recommendation, and I can tell you it's painful like hell. But I cannot go by wheelchair crossing a finish line in a running project. It's not possible. And again, this bubble is live dream. And then something happens with this company that was with us in the Gobi Desert running. They organize a finish event. And they rent a whole vessel and make a reconstruction with their own exhibition hall in English and in Chinese. One floor, only exhibition for our pictures and stuff we have with us. One floor for the dinner and one floor for the party. I mean, we didn't expect that. We totally didn't expect it. It cost a lot of money. But everyone now wants to be a part of this running event, and all the countries are there. They make the last 10 kilometers running, and every country have their own container where the runners have to stop, get a stamp in their paper to appreciate all the countries they're supporting that. By the way, my son also have the Bavarian traditional leather trousers because I believe in traditions. It's a challenge for sponsors, especially for sports sponsors. But and Victor got a picture you normally not get with a car at the Bund in Shanghai. And they organize so many people come that there is people they never run in their life. They run 10K on that day. And they make their own medal for all the people they're running with my panda bear and my oak leaf, means with my family logo. And everyone want to have my family logo because it's a Chinese part inside. So help the people from their perspective. And this is the most aired video all around our awareness we get, because everyone is expecting I'm going with the wheelchair on the finish line. But I write a safety handbook before the project, and it was written, even I have to crawl it. I will not use a wheelchair or someone carry me out with that. Because the same time I do this project, I'm a role model for my son, right? What I do as a daddy, he do later for himself, or say, Daddy, you not do it, why should I do it? And when he is in the university and he want to give up, I say, our family don't know this word. It's not existing in our language. Just 1 minute, then I finish. I know you have time pressure. I will talk about numbers from people we reach and awareness for these countries. Because no one trusts me before and no one believed it before. And I'm not a blogger. If you look to my Facebook and Instagram I have 3,000, Facebook I have 2 accounts together, maybe 10,000, it's not much. But I reach much more than every blogger, much more. And I'm very confident for that. I know how to do that. The reason is very simple. We try to involve the people locally, what we hear from the speaker before. We try to make them big. And we try to find the right formats. They just have a need to create a story, because not every company have a story, but they need stories for storytelling. Like in Thessaloniki, we talk with the bike development idea. And now I come with the bike to Thessaloniki. They have a story they can use, right? And they use it for an exhibition they just had for biking and cycling. So let's talk about the numbers. And thanks you for the UNWTO for supporting that. I mean, they not pay me, but they open some doors. That's important, open doors, because the doors are closed when you do something the first time in your life. We reach 112 nations with our awareness. So all the yellow parts, Germany starts, all the yellow countries, they're reporting about that. One small note or a bigger article, whatever, but they're talking about Silk Road and mention all the country names. I'm not famous in China, but with one post we reach 130,000 people when we show something like, hey, we soon arrive in China, my second home country. I say that as a German. That's why we have to use Weibo and all this. With the cooperation with Xinhua News and CCTV, we reach in China with every time they show it between 100 and 150 million people. Show the Chinese audience Russia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and all the nice countries and what I'm talking about these countries. We make 33 culture bridge events which force the local media to attend and show, hey, this guy like our culture, this guy like our food, this guy like to learn to make luncheon noodles. I give speeches in the universities to encourage the students. Why? Everyone makes pictures with you. Everyone picture it and share it on their social media. We only can estimate the reach about 2.2 million people. We talk with media companies, they say 2.2 is maybe too low. But this is the share we reach, because everyone want to be a part of that. That's why I say the Silk Road is not owned by someone, and that's why I'm so happy. The Indian lady can prove that, what I say about this guy. I love him. I love him because this is the way we need to do. This is the way what you showed. We make football lessons with people because Germans is a famous football country. I have no idea about football, but everyone in China want to play football with me after a running day. Okay, so what? This is the children, that's our future. We have interviews, we have footage, but we need 35,000 euros to make a cinema movie. We don't have a budget. I don't have a job right now. I have to find something new. That's why I say I put everything below this project. My wife blaming me, say, we have money up to December, and then, oh, relax, there will be a solution. Relax. We want to make a book, but you cannot make a book without any budget. Again, the people don't believe it works, and I say, hey, give me 999 no's. I can wait for the last one. And the family drives me there. My son, my parents-in-law, my parents don't live anymore. I'm grown up with my grandparents. They also not live anymore, so they're not on the picture. But that's my part of the Silk Road. And as I said, there's so many other countries I want to go there. I want to run there or cycle there or do something else there to promote these countries. Because not every country have a high reputation, a good reputation. If Afghanistan, the people get afraid to go there because of safety reasons. But there is safe places, you told us yesterday. And why we not tell them? Why we not share it? Why we not allow them to make their own decision? So I not come as a tourist, I come as a friend. I not come as a traveler, you are my teacher. That's what I believe. And thank you for listening. It was a crazy project with crazy people in the team, crazy sponsors, a crazy result. But if you ever have a challenge in your life and you can think about the solution, believe me, you can do it. If it's not works, call me. I will help you. I promise you. There's nothing you cannot reach as long as you be serious. Don't dream and not wake up. That's not working. Thank you so much. And I don't know how much time overlap, but I think it's fine.
Thanks so much. It's a real pleasure. Truly inspiring. Yeah, that's the most important thing, that you can walk right now. And this Kai Marcus Young, it was, I cannot imagine how a story could be more inspiring than that. It was a real pleasure to see and hear everything. And I thought of the words of a quote from Wayne Dyer, who says, if you change the way you look at things, things you look at change. I think you proved that in a great way. So thank you so much. It was really, really amazing. Now we're going to have a coffee break for 15 minutes. You can take some coffee or something to eat downstairs, and in 15 minutes, no, not downstairs, here? Sorry, the next hall, 15 minutes, we'll be back with the next panel. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the coffee break is over, so I'm going to ask you to get back to your seats, if possible. Thank you so much. If you have friends outside, you can encourage them to join us. Okay, thank you. So, our next panel is about the challenges and opportunities in developing transnational tourism routes, and namely the Silk Road as a case study. And I would like to invite on stage the moderator of this panel, Mr. Patrick Fritz, Technical Coordinator, Technical Cooperation and Silk Road Department in UNWTO. Mr. Patrick Fritz has been working for the World Tourist Organization since 2013 as the Technical Coordinator of the Technical Cooperation and Silk Road Department. Mr. Fritz is responsible for United Nations World Tourist Organization Silk Road activities, an area of work comprising 34 member states and numerous UNWTO affiliate members who collaborate in the areas of marketing and promotion, capacity building and destination management, and travel facilitation. A guide in political science and international relations, he studied in the University of Vienna and Trinity College, Dublin. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Patrick Fritz, stage is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the introduction. As said, my name is Patrick Fritz. I'm the Technical Coordinator of the Technical Cooperation and Silk Road Department, and during my time at UNWTO, I have been mainly dealing with the development of the Silk Road as a transnational tourism route. As some of you may know, UNWTO's Silk Road Initiative is a collaborative platform of 34 member states, and we develop sustainable and internationally competitive tourism by working within 4 key areas, which are marketing and promotion, capacity building and destination management, travel facilitation, and Silk Road research and tourism trainings. And while during today's session we'll draw on the Silk Road, the focus will be a general mix of theory and practice as we assess the challenges and opportunities of developing transnational tourism routes. We have panelists working within different spheres of the tourism sector, whereby essential question will be how to move from awareness raising to product development and transnational route management. From an academic perspective, this may mean to ask, for example, what tangible output can research have? Can research work transnationally? What needs to be in place before moving over to product packaging and product promotion? If we look at the private sector, we may ask, what does the private sector find interesting in transnational routes? Is it something they are willing to invest in? If so, why? However, before we move over to these questions, please allow me to briefly frame or introduce the topic of our session, because I believe it's important because while transnational cooperation may seem frustrating, slow, and even ineffective at times, transnational route development also entails great opportunities worth exploring. And as a representative of an international organization, I just wanted to touch upon a few points in the following. I'll start by highlighting the opportunities of transnational tourism, which I believe can be summarized as follows. The emergence of transnational tourism routes, which entails cooperation across borders among many different stakeholders with different goals and objectives, is a direct result of the changes brought forward by globalization. So what does this mean exactly? Well, basically that globalization has changed the tourism sector in such a way that cooperation across borders, even if a product is locally embedded, has not only become the new normal, but will also determine the future of the tourism sector. And a few key points will actually underline this statement here. Well, of course, the first reason is the resilience and continuous growth of the tourism industry. As has already been mentioned yesterday and today, international tourist arrivals grew by 6% in the first 6 months of 2018, thus not only continuing the record-breaking 2017 year, which saw a 7% yearly increase in comparison to 2016, but even exceeded UNWTO's initial forecasts for the year. World tourism growth is balanced and a global phenomenon. We see, for example, Europe and Asia, Asia and the Pacific with a 7% rise, maintain their leading role, but figures of stable growth are also observable in the Americas, the Middle East, and Africa. So now, in contrast to 15 or even 20 years ago, travel has become a global normality that can no longer be reversed. So when we talk about tourism, the key figure or indicative is tourism management. You have to manage a tourism route well, be it local, national, or global, because otherwise you'll pretty quickly hit barriers that will not allow you to move forward anymore. The second reason references shifts happening on a global scale, development process coined by Moises Naim as the more mobility and mentality revolutions. Now, this point entails a lot of different aspects, but I'll briefly summarize the key elements. The more revolution means that the world output from population growth to market products has increased rapidly over the last decades, whereby quantitative growth in total numbers goes hand in hand with qualitative improvements. For example, the world's economic output has increased fivefold, and income per capita is 3.5 times greater than it was in 1950. I could mention a lot of other global indicators such as global life expectancy, literacy rates, cereal production, and similar wealth indicators, but the main point is that the progress we are experiencing is unique in terms of numbers and duration. And why is this important? Well, because when people are better nourished, healthier, more educated, better informed, and more connected to others, priorities start to evolve, especially if these changes are paired with improvements in other areas, which leads me to the mobility and mentality revolutions. Because whereas the more revolution entails the opening up of opportunities, the mobility revolution entails their potential realization. Connectivity, understood in terms of widespread communication and transportation indicators, is a key feature to the global middle class, which in total numbers is growing year by year. For example, according to the International Air Transport Association, IATA, routes to, from, and within Asia and the Pacific will see an extra 1.8 billion passengers by 2035, for an overall market size of 3.1 billion. That is an average expected annual growth rate of nearly 5%. So what are the consequences of such developments? Well, whereas the more revolution entails the opening up of opportunities and the mobility revolution their potential realization, the mentality revolution implies a fundamental change in how we see and interact on a local, national, and global scale. Globalization, urbanization, changes in the family structure, the rise of new industries and opportunities, the global spread of English, these have had consequences in every sphere, but their effect has been most fundamental at the level of attitudes. That is, the ever-increasing salience of aspiration as a motivator of our actions and behaviors. So as representatives of the tourism sector sufficiently know, and as we were able to hear today during the first two presentations, experiential travel, the search for new experiences and destinations, is a global phenomenon on the rise, from which especially destinations with natural and cultural heritage will benefit from in the years to come. Which leads me to the third main reason, which is, and something that directly references the Silk Road, which is the emergence of new development plans that clearly recognize the importance of cooperation and partnerships across borders. Because as the 2008 financial crisis brought to light, it became a necessity to distribute global growth and development. New development plans and multilateral institutions started to emerge, all taking place across the Silk Road region. Just to name a few, we have the New Development Bank, established by the BRICS countries, Korea's Eurasian Initiative, Russia's vision for a Eurasian Economic Union, and of course, China's Belt and Road Initiative. Supported by new modes of collaboration and financial institutions such as the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the Silk Road Fund, destinations are already benefiting from projects happening in the areas of infrastructure, energy, and transportation. So generally speaking, framework conditions have never been so favorable for the development of daring tourism projects that aim to actually unite countries together to develop projects that cross 3, 5, 10, or in the case of the Silk Road, 34 countries. But unfortunately, not all that glitters is gold, and transnational cooperation does entail risks and challenges that are not easily overcome. Well, we will discuss some of these challenges throughout the session, but please allow me to mention a few that I believe important from the perspective of an international organization. Well, to begin with, it is worth mentioning that while no two routes are the same, neither in outreach, vision, nor initiatives developed, they all share similar difficulties. When cooperating transnationally, one has to deal with various stakeholders from various fields and policy levels that represent interests, both long-term and short-term, that may not always coincide. Additionally, one is confronted with a plurality of laws, regulations, and procedures that normally reflect a set of ideas or a cultural understanding that may, but may not be similar between countries. Now, if we picture this happening in a time when history fueled by technology is in constant acceleration, meaning that stakeholders, instead of building consensus and delivering jointly, are under a strong pressure to innovate and differentiate their products from the rest, then we achieve a pretty accurate picture of the complexity of our enterprise. Moreover, the task is even further worsened if one bears in mind the not always easy relationship between the spheres of culture and tourism. What was once falsely perceived as two sectors pursuing opposite goals is now correctly viewed as an interdependent partnership. Sustainable goals and criteria are now an indispensable part of all tourism projects, whereas culture, aware that heritage has to be enlivened in order to remain important, recognizes that the role played by the tourism sector in raising awareness, generating funds, and maintaining the outstanding universal value of sites across the globe. However, I mean, interests may clash and have to be balanced, something that was an important point that was mentioned yesterday, especially when you work on projects based on ancient heritage that are a source of meaning, pride, and income for host communities. Another reason is, a major concern at least, is to assess the links or common theme that is to give meaning and consistency to any intended transnational route. I can express that differently by saying a marketing and communications plan or brand should always be the last step of a long process. Promotion should always be the icing on the cake and not the main dish. And sometimes if you look at projects happening or interest by countries, it's always, oh, let's have a logo and then we'll see what we do with the rest of the route. It should be the other way around. First you should work on the basics, and then a promotional campaign, a logo, a brand is always the last step and never the first one. But it's quite funny how we see it normally being overturned in that sense. But this being said, the development of a common theme will not go very far if it cannot justify investments and business profits. The engagement of the private sector is essential if a route is to have a future. It is not always easy to keep these people engaged. The long-term commitment of the private sector is one of the most difficult challenges any route faces. And unfortunately, what may work for one route may not work for another route due to specific conditions on the ground. So it's always a challenge to keep the private sector involved. And finally, another major challenge from the perspective of an international organization is to keep all rallied stakeholders engaged throughout a long period of time. Governments and priorities change, meaning that long-term financing is a necessity, especially if a route is to be developed from scratch. Well, basically, ladies and gentlemen, with this brief presentation, what I wanted to do was provide you with some background thoughts, while in the following we will actually have a look at more specific challenges and opportunities of developing transnational tourism. Because while Stella from the Aristotle University will be focusing mainly on research and the initial stages of route development, Barnaby will be looking at the business side of the work, and we also have a representative from Bulgaria who will give us his national perspective on what we are on the topic at hand. That is what is needed in order to move on from awareness raising to transnational product management. So without further ado, I would like to thank you all for being here today, and please let us welcome our first speaker, Stella, who is Associate Professor of Regional and Tourism Development at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki and Head of the European Interdisciplinary Silk Road Tourism Center, also located at Aristotle University. So Stella, please, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Patrick. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished guests, I am really glad and honored to participate to the second International World Congress on World Civilizations and Historic Routes. Many thanks to the organizers for an excellent event and for a very warm hospitality. Well, I have to warn you that I have no videos. I have no photo gallery. And unfortunately, I'm not a Silk Road runner like Marcus. I really envy you. Well, the best I could do is to walk the Silk Road. So, who knows? Maybe in the 4th or 5th World Congress, lost weight, and be here to show you impressive videos and photo galleries. I can't give a promise. I have to be properly prepared to give the promise, okay? But thank you anyway. Thank you very much. So my presentation will deal with Silk Road history, routes, the challenges and prospects for tourism. As an academic, I will go through the basics about tourism and the Silk Road. And then I will present the involvement of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in the Silk Road, the Western Silk Road United Nations World Tourism Organization program. Let's start with the basic question. As we all very well know, there are far too many answers. Why tourism and travel? Because it is a growing global industry since the late 50s, is still growing and is expected to grow in increasing rates for the decades to come, because it's very important in strict economic terms, in GDP participation, in the number of jobs offered in exports. But it's also very important in social terms, in cultural terms, in environmental, and even in political terms. However, there is a question that raises far too many questions, is how tourism and travel. How can we make the potential tourist be excited enough to buy the ticket, to travel, to visit the destination, to stay at the destination, to explore the places, to explore the cultures, and respect the places and the cultures, to stay longer, and to share his experience or her experience on the way back, and hopefully be back again. On the other extreme, how to avoid over-tourism. There is an academic and policy debate nowadays about the negative impact of over-tourism development in cities and in cultural heritage sites. So in brief, the main question that arises is how to transform places into the so-called 3S destinations. And by 3S, I mean sustainable, smart, sophisticated. And by sustainable means that the destination has to respect the sustainability goals. By smart means that to make the best out of the latest technologies and digitization. And by sophisticated means to produce a tourism product based on authenticity and high quality. So a useful tool in order to have this kind of sustainable, smart, and sophisticated destination is storytelling. We have seen during the previous sessions quite successful examples about storytelling. So it is clear enough that storytelling can inspire and can motivate the travelers. But let's think about storytelling that can go further and fascinate the traveler, and even better, educate the traveler. So the cultural roots seems to be a very good practice of this kind of destinations. That means a tourism product that has as a goal to learn and experience the visitor for the places visited. We had these excellent presentations yesterday about La Rota dei Fenici and the Via Rodopica and the Santiago de Compostela, and on the other side of the Atlantic, the Route 66. However, it seems that there is a route that is considered to be the most important in the history of mankind, and this is the Silk Road that we are talking about. Three emblematic figures: Alexander the Great, Xianquang, apologies, I cannot pronounce it properly, and Marco Polo. Alexander the Great, the conqueror, who went till the far distant lands of Persia. Seems that he was the first Western legendary figure that he thought quite ahead of his times, and he realized the benefits of the osmosis between the Western and Eastern civilizations. And then we have the diplomacy of China that went far to reach the Alexander the Great places that he visited. And finally, the most famous storyteller, Marco Polo, that with his book in 1300, he made this trip to China popular to everyone and a fascinating book till now. So the Silk Road at those times was actually an immense network of routes. It was for the German geographer that he named in the 8th century Silk Road. It was a complex network of routes connecting different places, mainly through commerce. But commerce is realized by people, and people have ideas, they have art, they have religions. So this was also an exchange of ideas, of art, and also of technology of those times, and of religions. Nowadays, the Silk Road, based on huge infrastructure plans that are realized all over Asia, deals with economies that are growing in faster rates and new destinations that emerge nearly every year, and improved connectivity via transnational rail links. And of course, all this is supported by the internet accessibility and by the social media. Of course, the World Tourism Organization was the first to put on the table the discussion about the Silk Road tourism development back in 1994 with the Samarkand Declaration. And it went on for many decades working on the Silk Road program with many, many activities and successes. It was in 2013, actually, that the Silk Road came in the economic and political agenda all over Asia and Europe. And this was done with the One Belt, One Road, the OBOR Chinese strategy that was then renamed as initiative about the new Silk Road economic belt on land and the 21st century maritime Silk Road. Maybe this map is already changed to include the polar Silk Road. But however, this is a general view of the plan of China to create a Sinocentric area of commerce all over the Eurasia continent. So in 2026, the World Tourism Organization, together with the European Commission, announced they launched a new program to extend actually the Asian Silk Road, the classic Silk Road tourism program, and this was the Western Silk Road tourism. This was the question actually, what is the involvement of Western economies and societies to tourism? Which are the links, and which is the footprint of Silk Road in Western countries? There are a lot of activities about the Western Silk Road program that come to join all the activities that have been going on in Asia since 1994. For example, in Asia, you have already far too many cultural routes going on based on the Silk Road legacy, the Persian Silk Road, or the Kyrgyz Silk Road, or the Central Asian Oasis. Last year, in the exhibition in London, there have been quite a number of new tourism packages. So the industry is already in. Tourism packages that start from Shanghai and end to Istanbul, but they go even further. They start from Shanghai and they end to Hamburg. So it seems that we are about to face a rising Silk Road tourism market that seems to have unlimited routes to propose. For example, a route to propose is following the traces of Alexander the Great from here to Afghanistan, or even further. The rising Chinese market, the so-called free independent travelers that do not like tourism packages and they want to experience tourism, will figure out this new rising market. Just to keep in mind that this part of the market is about 40%. I mean, China's free independent travelers are 40% of the Chinese market, and the Chinese market is 49% of the Asian market, which will be the global racer. So only recently, in late October 2018, an announcement from Bloomberg noticed that we expect $800 billion dollars on the Silk Road industry. That means that the tourism development process in this area is really unlimited. So we are facing quite a problem here, how to organize this market, how to properly organize this market. So to give the opportunity to places to develop, but at the same time to protect places from over-tourism. How to transform places into 3S destinations on the Silk Road. So the proposal is to create a CUTE. That means cultural tourism for education, new Silk Road tourism model. And this needs research, okay? It is a complex tourism system because a large number of countries are involved with different cultures, with different economic and political systems, in many cases with barriers in crossing the borders, in barriers in political terms. So we have quite a complex system, and we need to systematically organize this large new tourism market. World Tourism Organization has already put this question on the table, because in the Western Silk Road Initiative, they proposed two pillars, two strategic pillars. The one is research, and the other is capacity building. And by research, it is meant to create a joint tourism intelligence and common methodologies, so as to be able to have comparable data. And this is quite important if we are to analyze and properly plan the synergies within this very complex system. So Aristotle University has been involved with the Western Silk Road program from the very beginning. Let me briefly introduce my university. Established in 1925, is the largest in Greece and the largest in southeastern Europe. The largest in terms of number of students, 75,000 students, and in terms of the disciplines. Since this is a multi-thematic university, nearly all disciplines covered. It is a university quite active in European educational programs, in international education programs, and in participation in university networks. Only recently, in August 2017, the European Interdisciplinary Silk Road Tourism Center has been established under the auspices of the Ministry of Tourism of Greece and with the support of the World Tourism Organization. This tourism center has as main aims to provide systematic study and databases interpretation, to publish studies and research findings, and to promote networking of universities from Europe with universities from Asia, but also with the broader Mediterranean area. The first study that we produced was a call from the World Tourism Organization to study the footprint of the Silk Road in Greece as part of the Western Silk Road project initiative. So a group of senior and younger researchers have been working quite hard for 40 days exactly. One of them is present here, Mr. Dimitris Kyriakou, PhD candidate. So we had a quite large survey all over Greece with something like 600 questionnaires to all tourism stakeholders involved. The main outcome was that nearly everyone, I mean the vast majority, were not aware of the Silk Road. And of course, they didn't include any Silk Road activities in their tourism development plans. We went to first approach to identify the Silk Road cultural footprint at the regional basis, try to locate sites that had a reference with the Silk Road. We went through a SWOT analysis at the regional basis and also at the national basis. And finally, we end up with a map, which is in the initial stage of the Silk Road in Greece, indicated the places that have a reference to the Silk Road legacy. Now this map is under reconstruction to be a proper GIS map. Now, the ongoing research that we are working on in Aristotle University and the European Interdisciplinary Silk Road Center is to formulate the problem on network basis analysis. That means we have the destinations at an hierarchical level where the big node is the transport hub, for example, and we have the links between these nodes, that is the historic links and the tourism links existing or potential. So if we formulate the problem at a network analysis basis, then we can use the concept of polycentricity that indicates the connection of neighbor centers. That is a reference to cultural roots, of course. Centers that have common characteristics and their integration in wider spatial terms. So by use of graph theory, we can have these networks fragmented, for example, in terms of hierarchy or in terms of connectivity, and so to end up with smaller networks at the regional level, at the national level, at the cross-border level, or at the international level. We can have the morphological dimension, that is the characteristics of each node in terms of size, rank, location, or cultural heritage. We can have the functional dimension in terms of the links, of the characteristics of the links between the nodes. Let's make it simple. For example, in each destination, we have a common characteristic, more or less common, that is the spices, markets, the bazaars. So this is a cultural heritage footprint quite directly relevant to the Silk Road. So this is a morphological characteristic of each node. And then we have the caravanserais, valuable architectural footprints that indicate the crossroads of commerce and culture. So they are everywhere. and this can, in a way, characterize the links. So we need some methodological tools now. And these tools may be ontologies that give the possibility to share knowledge, to organize information, so as to have a system of classification and taxonomy. This is an ongoing research, and please, all colleagues that are interested in are kindly invited to join us. Now, Aristotle University and the Center has been actively participating in the capacity building activities of the Western Silk Road Initiative by organizing workshops in Thessaloniki and also participating in activities within the year Greece, the cultural year Greece-China in 2017. We also participated in both international Western Silk Road workshops in Alexandroupolis and in Sofia in last year. Finally, we submitted the application to the World Tourism Organization together with the region of Central Macedonia and the Thessaloniki Convention Bureau to host the 8th international meeting of the World Tourism Organization. Actually, in our area, this was a best practice of synergies between the industry, the tourism industry, the local authorities, and academia. And we succeeded in our application being accepted. So we had the honor to host the 8th international meeting in October 2018. It was a prestigious event. We are very proud that we hosted this event in our city and region and country. During this event, a memorandum of understanding has been signed between the World Tourism Organization and Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, signed by the General Secretary of United Nations World Tourism Organization, Mr. Zurab Palakalsvili, and the Rector of Aristotle University, Professor Periklis Mitkas. This memorandum is actually to support the research, dissemination, and training activities of the European Interdisciplinary Silk Road Tourism Center. Now, our next step is the realization of a Black Sea Basin Interreg program that has been already signed. It is called Silk Road Local Culture, and it aims at identifying, documenting, and mapping the cultural footprint of Silk Road and assessing its growth potential in Black Sea countries, to create a Silk Road virtual observatory, to create a network, an entrepreneurial network based on the Silk Road footprint, to create also a label to certify quality affiliates, that means entrepreneurs to the network, and of course many other activities like a portable museum, promotion video, storytelling, and so on. The partnership includes, apart from Aristotle University, who is the lead partner, University of Varna in Bulgaria, National Association for Rural Ecological and Cultural Tourism in Romania, Russian Armenian University in Armenia, and the International Center for Social Research and Policy Analysis in Georgia. So in our aim here is to create a framework for Silk Road regional tourism development plans, that is to define the Silk Road concept, the targets, the market segments, identify the sites, the attractions, and the experience, define the interregional Silk Road cultural routes, develop a Silk Road culture storytelling, design a regional branding or reputation. Thank you. It was quite an impressive proposal. Create entrepreneurial labels, create tourism intelligence and communication tools, and finally, support cooperation and networking. Our next activity concerns a training summer school in 2019, sustainable tourism development and Silk Road cultural heritage. This will be co-organized by the European Interdisciplinary Silk Road Tourism Center together with our master program, Tourism and Local Development, which has just been launched, where 6 schools of Aristotle University participate: economics, law, environment, forestry, theology, agriculture, spatial planning, 60 university professors to teach, and 3 orientations that are offered: tourism and regional development, environment, sustainable tourism, cultural and religious tourism. We invite you to join our summer school. Finally, our next goal is the creation of the Euro-Mediterranean Silk Road Tourism Intelligence, the so-called the MAS. In Greek, that means to us. This actually will be, we plan that it will be a digital platform for the cooperation between academia, local authorities, and the tourism industry on the Silk Road countries. We intend to submit project proposals in Erasmus capacity building, the deadline the 7th of February. Aristotle University will actually capitalize its experience gained by the European PhD Hub, which is an Erasmus Knowledge Alliance project going on. And it is actually the creation of a European digital platform for the cooperation between the tourism industry and academia. And by academia, we mean PhD holders and PhD candidates and MSc students. We will have a dissemination event on December 14. So the proposed project partnership, apart from Greece, is Uzbekistan, China, Egypt, the European University Foundation, that is a consortium of more than 100 European universities, and hopefully United Nations World Tourism Organization. Of course, we will have a larger project networking to include also Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Spain, Italy, Morocco. And please join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stella, for the presentation, and thank you also very much for your partnership, because it is true, when we started to develop the Western Silk Road, we actually very quickly realized how important research is, because of course the Silk Road, you know, important names in history, Marco Polo, Genghis Khan, everybody knows about them, but when we started to actually look what type of Silk Road heritage was available in Europe, we realized that there was very little research done on this aspect. So, I mean, the first step of any tourism, transnational tourism route, is to start mapping and linking heritage together. And one of the nicest kind of outputs was to actually see, you know, lesser developed tourism destinations. For example, northern Greece had very, very important Silk Road heritage, which could also then be used to diversify the tourism off of the countries and move forward. So we'll get back to all those questions later. Because we're very short in time, I'll just welcome the next speaker on our panel, who basically works already on the second step of transnational route development, which is already capacity building and destination management. Our next speaker, Barnaby Davis, is no stranger to the Silk Road because he recently returned from Kyrgyzstan. He's a published travel writer and a Guinness World Record holder in travel. He's worked for a number of years as a tour leader, dealing firsthand with Western guest expectations, and then as a tour guide trainer and strategic advisor on the Silk Road. 3 years ago, he co-founded East Guides West, a company specializing in training, consulting, and connecting in tourism. East Guides West has met with governments, DMCs, and local tour leaders in Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, China, basically the whole Silk Road. And eager to share his trips on the Silk Road marketing and product development, I'm very pleased to welcome today Mr. Barnaby Davis. Thanks.
Thank you, Patrick, and good morning, although it's good afternoon already. What a huge honor to be invited to happy Bulgaria. I liked that when I flew in. Welcome to happy Bulgaria. Yeah. I'm here to talk about an area of the world that I've fallen in love with. How do we market the Silk Road to the rest of the world? Let's start with a question Patrick asked, which was, does the Silk Road have potential from a product and development point of view? Oh yeah, absolutely. As we've already heard, everybody's heard of Silk Road countries, but many haven't heard of the individual countries. Give you an example, my local guide, or one of my local guides in London the other day, said, Tajikistan, is that a country? Why would you go there? Yet when I said Silk Road, she said, now you have my attention. So the Silk Road is most definitely a brand. Good news. A lot of the marketing already been done for us through television documentaries. In the UK, hundreds of thousands, John, probably millions, of people have just watched Joanna Lumley's Silk Road Adventure. Now, talk about promoting historic routes and world civilizations. Patrick, invite Joanna Lumley to the next Congress. She was fabulous. She compared Tashkent to Paris. She said it's as stylish as Paris. How about that for a marketing headline? Tashkent, the Paris of the East. Yeah? In your Silk Road marketing, we've already heard, tie your product to something or somebody that people already know. Genghis Khan, Marco Polo, we already know those people. Or you could go a step further. Joanna Lumley, she even mentioned Freddie Mercury. You know, the lead singer of Queen? He was raised as a Zoroastrian, which led so beautifully into Zoroastrianism originating in Iran 3,500 years ago. How many of you would think to use the place that inspired Freddie Mercury in your marketing? Yeah. So just throwing ideas around. Go wild, go crazy, maybe not quite as crazy as Kai Marcus, but people they book trips based on emotions. So the Silk Road is a brand. Even more, it's a safe brand. So sell that and then sell specific regions after that. And companies that really know how to do that, to use Silk Road in their marketing, are tour operators such as Travel the Unknown, Wild Frontiers, we saw from Stella, Secret Compass. There are lots, and I'm just using UK examples. They know what their customers want. What are these tour operators saying that they want from you to feel a transnational tourism route is worthwhile? Pretty simple. A reassurance that cooperation is long-term. Yeah? A tour operator in London puts together a brochure a year in advance. They've got to know that what's in the brochure is what's going to happen on the road. That's the product that the guest has bought. So long-term cooperation between countries. And nobody's looking for European-style easy borders, by the way. Half of the adventure, isn't it, is getting a passport stamp somewhere exotic. But the borders do need to be predictable. Yeah, they need to be predictable. If it's supposed to take an hour to get through a border, what happens if that then takes 4 hours because of political instability? What's the knock-on effect to the rest of that day's tour program? Yeah, if it's in the brochure, has to happen. Golden rule, can't stress that enough. So I suppose if I had to sum up in one word what tour operators in the West are looking for on the Silk Road, I would say guarantees. And from a client's perspective, you as Silk Road partners are an extension of the tour operator. Any failings are a collective responsibility. You're a team. Nothing worse than a tour operator finding out about a problem from a client and they weren't already aware. Yeah, that decreases chances of word-of-mouth referral and repeat business, which is what we all want, of course. So be upfront and be realistic about expectations. We've talked about honesty in other presentations. Be realistic. If your guest house or your accommodation is average, let the tour operator know. That's okay. They would much rather have 50 happy guests than 100 guests of which only 75 are happy. Yeah, that's the quickest way to make a long-term partnership flourish. Yeah. So many times I hear, just bring us guests. And it's not necessarily the way. You've got to have a plan behind that. Yeah, tourism is a big family, which leads us to, that's a lot of borders there, isn't it? Yeah, it leads us to transnational cooperation. A problem shared is a problem halved, isn't it? I've got 3 suggestions. There are many initiatives for strategic tourism development out there. USAID, EU aid, Global Nature Fund, UNDP. We've seen lots and lots, but they're very scattered. Could there be a centralized strategy? Could they all be centralized and agree on strategies? Is that possible, maybe? And the calls for projects are very, very difficult for many DMCs on the ground. So could there be a WTO initiative, perhaps, to fill in applications, to teach how to do that and apply for funding? So that's number 1. Could we put together a Silk Road job market? Make things real for people. Yeah, give tourism providers an incentive. A symposium in Almaty or Baku or Bishkek. With transnational funding, I would love to invite tour operators to come and network directly with local guides and DMCs to increase local employment. Yeah. It's worth considering here, many North American operators or European operators would much rather send somebody like me to run a tour in Central Asia. And the reason for that is I would be a safe pair of hands. I understand the guests, I know how to look after the guests, they'll know I'll fix problems on the ground. But what I'd really, really like to see with a little bit of intercultural training is local tour directors taking that work. Local knowledge, they know how to do it, that increases local employment. And it's, not to mention, huge savings for European tour operators on positioning costs. It's a win-win both ways. So could we have a Silk Road job market? Number 3, when leading tours across borders, it's not a great guest experience to be handed over to another tour guide at a border. If a guide finishes at a border, that's the end of his or her service. Probably doesn't care what happens the other side, but the tour operator does, and the guest does, of course. You'll hear me say this quite a lot. Yeah, a guide makes or breaks a tour. That's so true. That tour guide is a reassuring constant for the guests. They learn to trust that guide. So could there be a governmental initiative to issue tour guide visas for cross-border tours? Yeah, one leader to accompany the guests for the whole tour without visa issues. Is that possible? Because that one idea would hugely improve the guest experience. So who are you selling your product to? Your safe, wonderful product. Who's buying it? Because that affects your marketing strategy. For example, I wouldn't use the Freddie Mercury connection to Iran to attract the Arabic market. That doesn't resonate, it doesn't make any sense at all, but it would certainly work in Britain. So look at your most powerful customers, what resonates with them, do your research. I'm sure you're already doing business to business here, but if I said one thing about business to consumer, I would say, well, here's one thing. I heard the other day 1 million websites are built every day. 1 million. Unbelievable. That's a lot of clutter, isn't it, to get your message heard through. So if I had one suggestion, I would say headlines. Headlines, super important. And people underestimate that. They come up with great ideas. If that subject headline is no good, nobody reads what comes next. How many of you open every email? Probably not. You learn, if it's from somebody you don't know, you make a very quick decision based on that subject line, don't you, before you delete it, unless there's something of benefit. Okay, well, that's enough marketing. You could Google that sort of thing. Did anybody go to the World Nomad Games this year in Kyrgyzstan? Oh, well, I'll tell you, you missed a treat. It was absolutely fabulous, and I have to say, pretty well organized. Couple of things, though. Here's an example of what is not strategic tourism. Tourist season in Kyrgyzstan ends at the end of August. So many guest houses and hotels closed 2 days before. 2 days before 1,000 foreign visitors came to the World Nomad Games. Does that make sense? No. And I asked them why that was, and the reason was, well, we always close at the end of August. Yeah. Now we've got to start changing that kind of thinking. Are you in tourism or not? We've got to think a little bit outside the box there. Do you recognize the game there on the horses? It's called cock-baroo. It's like polo, but with a dead goat. It's a national sport down there. It's a great game. My business partner took that, and she just came back from a fam trip, cross-border fam trip, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. Beautiful scenery. Beautiful people, but the product, it just wasn't quite right. Yeah. Can I make a suggestion on product development? Guests do not want to drive solidly for hours and hours and hours, yeah? Particularly when there's no program at the other end. Shani, my business partner, she drove 8 hours to a lake. They looked at it, no picnic, no hiking, no food, nothing, and then they drove back 8 hours. Yeah, that's not experiential tourism. That could have been 2 days better spent, maybe a closer lake. Yeah. Oh yeah, and look at this picture just down in the bottom left there. The guide here is burning plastic bottles next to the food. Burning plastic in 2018, you can't do that. Go to any tourism fair, World Travel Market, ITB, all you'll hear is responsible tourism and sustainable development goals. Yeah? Europeans do not want to see practices that damage the environment. So there's a lot of room for education, for sure, across the Silk Road. Now, education, of course, costs money, doesn't it? Yeah. But what a return on investment. Tourism gives people the economic incentive to look after what they've got. Yeah. That is sustainable tourism. And the tourism potential revenue on the Silk Road is enormous. We've seen the growth figures from Patrick and Stella just then. You need, of course, a level of infrastructure. Yeah, you know that. Is it also there in the rural areas? There's big concern for DMCs at the moment in Mongolia. They're losing tourism revenue, low quality services in rural areas, and they can see that they're losing it. Yeah. Are there toilets? It's a little thing. I was in Kyrgyzstan recently, and I asked about the bathroom, and the guide just gesticulated towards the woods, the forest. There it is. There are the toilets, yeah. Is the waste management, hotel capacity, are the vehicles safe, well-maintained, insured, that sort of thing? And are the guides committed to the job? Many, or so many, DMCs tell me that guides treat the job as a hobby, yeah? Easy money. And that reflects, of course, as poor service to the guests. So it kills me, you know, they're beautiful countries, but guests are sometimes still going home disappointed. And that, to me, is a terrible shame. It's so frustrating. So there's a big need for funding across the Silk Road for development and capacity building skills. You get out what you put in. Yeah, and in a recent study on mountain tourism and sustainability in Kyrgyzstan, they concluded that tourism will only be economically viable if service providers have technical skills. So there is a lot of work to do, we know that, but with effective transnational cooperation, I think we can harness the development potential. That's me, by the way, as a tourist at the Nomad Games, underdressed and totally underprepared to meet the Deputy Minister of Tourism, and that's Stephen Leoy as well from USAID. He's a representative there. But we all stood together as the sun was setting over the Tian Shan Mountains. It's beautiful there. And we all decided as we drank in that mountain air that Silk Road tourism has limitless horizons. Thanks for inviting me to happy Bulgaria.
Thank you very much, Barnaby. That was very interesting because, you know, you hear authenticity, uniqueness, this is new, this is novel, this is a must-see kind of place. You hear that you have to promote yourself like that nowadays. But what we actually learned from this presentation is once you're on the ground, you depend on vital services and infrastructure, on proper training. Because if that isn't in place, then your trip can pretty quickly turn into a nightmare, or you'll at least come back with a very bad impression if certain services, certain trainings are not in place. So thank you for bringing up that point. We're very short in time, that's why I'm going to just invite our third speaker of the day onto the panel. His name is Dr. Peter Beron. He's a Bulgarian zoologist and biospecialist, researcher of over 700 caves, and quite impressive, a discoverer of new animal species. He is the director of the National Museum of National History at the Bulgarian Academy of Science, who he's been a member of for over 12 years now. So Dr. Beron, if I can please ask you to the stage. Thank you.
Excellencies, if any, ladies and gentlemen, very few minutes left. You are hungry and tired. You may find my presentation here a little dull because I have no pictures. I am not a distinguished speaker as the speakers we heard this morning, and I'm not a tourist. Neither tour operator, neither organizer of tourism. Actually, I'm a traveler, mountaineer, caver. I was director for many years of the National Museum of Natural History in Sofia, the oldest Bulgarian museum, and I strongly advise you to find some time to visit this museum on Tsar-Osvobodito Avenue, number 1. Very interesting museum. So, I have traveled all around the world, collecting different insects, spiders, things, exploring caves, exploring the high mountain fauna of almost all high mountains in the world. And most of these things I did under not very glossy and comfortable circumstances, because I was 50 when the communism here officially ended in 1990. I am now almost 80. So I still go. I'm just back from Vietnam. Last year I was on Kenya Mountain, traveling over the mountain. The year before I was in caving expedition in Laos. So I will speak on behalf of people who are budget travelers, not interested in the gains, in the revenue, in the tourist products, in the tourist development, and so on and so on. I actually am not a tourist. because I was going to different places, first for seeing them, because in each country there is a list of things which are the must, the things you have to visit, have to see. When you go to Toronto, you must see Niagara. When you come to Sofia, you must see the big cathedral, and etc., and our museum, indeed. The musts, and when I go somewhere, finding some small money from somewhere, I follow this list of the musts. This is for my own satisfaction. But actually, the purpose I go around is to collect animals for our museum, for our collections, with many, many new species for the science. This is important because in many countries, the devastation of the nature goes so fast that very soon these species will be gone forever. For example, all this deforestation in tropical countries, etc. So this Silk Road, this is, I was told 2 days ago that I have to speak about the Silk Road. That's why I don't have anything to show. I tried to find on the internet what is the map of this Silk Road. I found about 50, 60 maps of different Silk Roads. Now Silk Road is a very broad notion, going from Indonesia to Britain and Holland. Actually, I have visited all these countries, living in many of them months and months, in the nature, in the mountains, and I know many globetrotters which will follow this road, but not running. I haven't run even 1 kilometer from this road. I have been to all these countries, but I was going very slowly, just trying to get as much as possible from the country.
You need to find the insects you have.
No. Just also when I was playing tourist, going around the towns and villages and so on, I also was going slowly, just to see and to remember better the things. Going like this, and especially bringing with you collections, there are additional difficulties. You have to have permits, collecting permits, export permits, etc., 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 in many places. If you collect in the night with the light, you get arrested usually. You may spend some time in some jail because people don't know what are you doing. Because the authorities and the police and so on, they know what a normal tourist do. Goes here, goes there, makes photos, looks at the pigeons on the San Marco place or something. They don't understand what are you doing in the wilderness, in the caves, etc. I was listening to our Greek colleague. I remember in communist time, the northern border of Greece was very well protected against the bad Bulgarians coming from the north. And as there are many interesting caves there, I was going in these caves and coming out in the night, I got arrested several times in Alistrati, in other places. So this happens. So one has to be prepared very well. Up to 1990, we had no foreign currency, foreign dollars, etc. So it was very difficult to get this foreign currency. Many of you even cannot imagine this. And the new generation in Bulgaria also I don't tell them because they wouldn't understand. And we are trying to make different sort of combinations. For example, the communist government was sending sporting expeditions. For example, sporting groups to climb Himalayan summits and so on and so on. And once I told them, get some zoologists or botanists in the expedition. The climbers may not be successful with the summit, but staying in the base camps, these scientists will collect new species, new things, and the expedition will have results anytime. And like this, I went to 3 expeditions to the Himalaya, altogether 6 months in the high Himalaya. Also, I have been twice in Indonesia, and 5 months with British expedition to Papua New Guinea, in the middle of the big forest. So it is not impossible, but you have to be prepared, physically to be prepared, to read all published in Lonely Planet or some other sources where it is written what to do and don't do this and this. For example, you must learn that in Thailand, there are here people who will tell you that you shouldn't touch the head of anybody. You shouldn't be photographed together with the Buddha statue, etc., etc. So there are prohibitions, there are things which you should not do. In Nepal, you should never give somebody your left hand. This is the dirty hand. This is a clean hand. This is the dirty hand. You have to know all these limitations. Traveling. Actually, this Silk Road is very long. It should be made by parts. Each part, it's enough to spend 1 or 2 months somewhere to get tired and to have enough of impressions. So you make one portion, go back, and after some time, you go again for 1 or 2 months. But to spend 1 year running or something, this is really too much. So one of the most interesting parts of this new Silk Road is the Balkan Peninsula. Balkan Peninsula is something fantastic. Many antiquities, many islands, churches, natural phenomena, things like Meteora, to make some publicity of Greece, Meteora or Santorini or other places like this. Fantastic area. In Middle Asia, you may find long distances with very few points of interest. You just see the landscape and you have to cross them. But the Balkans is full with interesting places and things. And to not keep your attention too long, I'll tell you only one story, because I have been to all these countries, as I told you, but how I saw Afghanistan. Yesterday, unfortunately, I didn't listen to the lecture about Afghanistan. But in 1986, during the war between the Russians and the Mujahideen people, the Russians organized something like People's Republic of Afghanistan, occupied by them. And as I am working in the National in the Academy of Sciences of Bulgaria, the 2 academies of Afghanistan, the non-existing Academy of Afghanistan and our academy, had an agreement for exchange of weeks of visit. And we received in the academy invitation for 20 days in Kabul for exchange of experience. I was the only person of the academy who agreed to go there in the middle of the war. Kabul was besieged, practically. I found a very big knife like this from one collection, put it in my backpack. Actually, by this time, it was not prohibited to carry these things on the planes. And I flew to Moscow, and from Moscow, I had to go to Kabul. In Moscow, the man who was checking my luggage said, у вас в багаже нож, you have a knife in your luggage. I said, yes, нож. Для Кабула этого не хватит. For Kabul, it is not enough, he said. But he left the knife in my luggage. It was a knife this long. And when I arrived in Kabul, I was met by a gentleman who was representing the Foreign Relations Department of the Academy of Science of People's Republic of Afghanistan, who was the head and the only member of this department. And when we were already on land, I saw that each machine, for example, plane or helicopter taking off or landing gives 4 big splashes of magnesium. And I asked, why is this done? Because of the rockets, the missiles from Pagman, very near to Kabul. They are shooting on the airport very often. And this magnesium is detracting these missiles from the plane because they're hotter. Because these missiles by this time were English and Chinese, were not this American, but these were silkworm and blowpipe, and they were sensible to the temperature. And when we started going to Kabul, and this gentleman gave me the list of my stay, the program for my stay, 20 days. Meetings with ministers, visits to the Academy of Sciences, and so on. And I said, my friend, you have mistaken the person, because I'm not here to meet anybody. I have to go to the mountains, to the caves, to the desert, to collect things, to glaciers and so on. He was looking at me like this, said, no, we didn't mistake the person, but you are in the wrong country. He said, what mountains are we going to visit? I said, this and this, which is about 4,000 meters. I said, but even we cannot dare because the Mujahideens are there. Pagman is very near to the Kabul, but they are shooting to the airport from Pagman. Host, it goes from one hand to another every day. Kandahar, where now are Bulgarian, by the way. Kandahar has police curfew of some 18 hours every day. You cannot go on the street, etc., etc. I listed several other cities. He said, no, you will stay in the hotel and you will not go anywhere. I said, okay. And when he left me in the hotel, of course, I must tell you that dangers are not so big as described during the travel. Because when he left me, and he told me, you will stay here and not go to the fence because they will shoot you from the market. I took my camera, I took my tubes with alcohol, not for drinking, this for insects, and I went immediately in the market, made photo to everybody there. Then I went in the old town where nobody of these Europeans dared to enter. Nobody attacked me. And there is a hill, because Kabul is 1,700 meters altitude. And there is a hill in the middle, Shabdarwaza, which is another 600 meters. So 2,300 meters at the top. And this hill, nobody goes there because the Russian choppers were flying over every day and shooting to everything which moves. But I was collecting different things, and when the chopper passed, I was staying like this, and nothing happened to me. And, and like this, I spent 20 days in Kabul. No problem. So dangers are not so big. Many people will tell you different things. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. I may tell you many other things, but time is running short. So by the end, because I saw the inscriptions here that East meets West. Was it? East meets West. You know Rudyard Kipling. East is East and West is West, and will never meet. Well, don't believe this, because there is also from Rudyard Kipling, the white man's burden. I was carrying my burden on more than 90 countries, here and there. Now, the burden is shared between the white men and the yellow men from China, because the whole concept of the Silk Road is coming from China, actually, with this $900 billion project. So all these people, East Asia, Central Asia, and Europe may work together, and this is the point of our meeting here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was very, very interesting. You talked about in the 1980s you got arrested for crossing the border between Bulgaria and Greece for visiting a cave. And nowadays you can visit it without any problem. So who knows what the Silk Road will look like in 50 years. I'm not sure if you'll be able to take huge swords on your flights and stuff, but the progress we have done in just free. Well, we'll see, but it's incredible how quickly everything changes and how quickly everything advances, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad, but thank you very much for being here today. We're very, very, very limited in time, we're over time already. Are there anybody from the public? We can allow, I think, 1 or 2 quick questions, so if anybody has a question to one of our panelists, please raise your hand, don't be shy. Now's the moment if you want to ask anybody any questions. Are you sure? Nobody there? Great. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for being here today. Thank you, Stella. Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you, Dr. Bedon. I'm sure if you want to catch up with them on individual issues, just feel free to approach them. I would like to say thank you also to the interpreters for their good job today, to the technicians, and of course to the Ministry of Tourism of Bulgaria for hosting such a great event. I think the closing ceremony is on next, so thank you very much for being here, for listening to all our interventions, and well, we still have a day and a half together, so look forward to seeing you all soon, and after lunch and during the technical tours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please give your final applause for Patrick Fritz and the rest of the panelists. We've heard fascinating and interesting and very entertaining stories, so it's been a pleasure. Now I would like to invite Mr. Christopher Impson, UN WTO Deputy Director for Europe, for some final comments. Christopher, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I know you're all very tired, so I'm going to make this very, very short. So we've come to the end of a wonderful event, and it's been such an honor to have you with us for the last 2 days. So of course I have to start by thanking the government of Bulgaria, and in particular the Ministry of Tourism, for the outstanding organization of this event, and for hosting us so graciously here in Sofia. And I think that we'll have a technical tour after this. Please make sure to be good tourists as well. I want to thank the speakers, who are just excellent. I think we can all safely say that we leave here much more knowledgeable than when we came, inspired by what you've shared with us. We've learned how to, well, explore caves illegally. We have also been encouraged to blackmail, so please take these lessons home with you. I want to thank the moderators, who've done a splendid job in keeping the discussions lively and interesting. John actually managed to make the speakers sing. This is something I've never seen before. I hope you all appreciated this. I want to thank our wonderful Master of Ceremonies, Nikki, who managed proceedings impeccably and kept us all under control with such grace. I know that you're not from tourism, but I hope that you've been inspired by this gathering of tourism professionals and the stories. Very good. We should not forget the hostesses, the technicians, the interpreters. Without you, we'd still be queuing outside or sitting here in the dark and not understanding a thing. So thank you very much for that. And finally, it's so often the bosses who receive the credit for events like these, but much of the blood, sweat, and tears is put in by people like Eli Misheva from the Ministry of Tourism in Bulgaria, and by my own colleague Beatriz Cano. I'm not sure where she is, but please stand up if you're here. So thank you both for such a tremendous effort. This really is thanks to the efforts of you two. Ladies and gentlemen, I promised you I would keep this short. I think I kept that promise, and thank you, and enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you for inviting me. I'm usually not a host. I make movies, so it's a real pleasure that I'm here and to have your trust. So now for final comments, I would like to invite here on stage Ms. Irena Georgieva, Deputy Minister of Tourism of Republic of Bulgaria.
My speech won't be so long too, but distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to close the second International Congress on World Civilizations and Historic Routes. This is the second time Sofia is hosting the International Congress on World Civilizations, and I do hope it will become a tradition. This Congress highlighted once again the importance of the historic routes for cultural and tourism development. We had the opportunity to dive into concrete examples of how historic routes were connecting people, shaping their lives and places they lived, bringing our world closer together, long before any other means of transportation and communication. From our side, the side of Ministry of Tourism, I would like to thank to all of the speakers who told us about their different tourism strategies, approaches and initiatives for cultural and tourism development, and to our keynote speakers who inspired us to think differently about the way we reach out our tourists and the way we are promoting our destinations. In my role as a host, I would like also to encourage you to explore and discover our beautiful Bulgaria, a country with thousands of years of history and a cultural heritage that embraces ancient civilizations. A country where historic, archaeological, and architectural monuments have been preserved and mixed with the modern cultural life. They are traces of the life of Thracians and Romans, Proto-Bulgarians and Slavs, are woven into the city's busy life today. You could start with exploring our capital, Sofia, right after the end of our Congress on a special half-day technical tour on the city center of Sofia, organized for all the participants. Be welcome. I would like to use the opportunity to thank to UNWTO for the support in organizing this Congress, and especially to Christopher, applauses for him, Beatrice, thank you, Beatrice, and Patrick, who are here with us, maybe, except Patrick, but, okay, Patrick, thank you. I would like to thank to our wonderful moderator, once again, Mr. Niki Iliev. I would like to thank to the team of Ministry of Tourism, you know all of them, Ivailo Petkov, maybe he is not here, he's busy, Elvira Misheva, Zlatina Yutova, Silvia Doncheva, and many other colleagues of mine. And, of course, thank you to all of you for your presence and attention. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Georgieva. I appreciate your kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the Second International Congress of World Civilizations and Historic Roots. Please join me to give a big round of applause to all the participants, all the translators, all the organizers, all the panelists, all the moderators who has joined us yesterday and today at this wonderful Congress. Thank you. And don't forget to take the city tour from 3 p.m. I think it starts downstairs from the lobby until 6. You'll get to enjoy the beautiful city center of our capital, Sofia. Have a good day. Thank you.